Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
I love my Grenada, my homeland forever. Sing the chorus louder, tell them about Grenada, the land of my grandfather. She will always prosper. Oh, my Grenada, land of peace and culture.
Pure Grenada, the small but beautiful and unspoiled tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique is located in the Caribbean with a population of just about 100,000 people. Led by Eric Matthew Gary, Grenada got its independence in 1974 from Great Britain and had 7 prime ministers since independence. Keith Mitchell is the country's sitting prime minister and is also the longest-serving prime minister in Grenada's history. He is described as one of the most visionary, respected, and accomplished leaders in the world. The large majority of Grenadians are happy with his leadership, and in 3 national elections, the people have voted and gave his party an unprecedented clean sweep at the polls. Prime Minister Mitchell has guided Grenada through difficult periods such as the rebuilding process after the passage of Hurricane Ivan in 2004 and the rebuilding of the economy after 5 years of the NDC administration that ran 2008 to 2013. During that period, the NDC government became bankrupt and was unable to manage the economy. They had to resort to selling multiple government properties to the NIS to pay salaries of public workers. At no time during that period was any public officer able to get an increase in salary or increments owed to them. The NDC government was plagued with infighting and scandal. After just 2 years in office, the NNP government paid public officers increases and increments owed to them for the period 2009 to 2012 to the tune of $58 million. An additional 10% increase in salaries was paid for the period 2017 to 2019. A total of over $110 million was paid during these periods. Officers have been relieved from financial uncertainty as they have been receiving salaries on time every month thereafter. With support from social partners, government was also able to successfully implement a 3-year homegrown structural adjustment program. As a result of this remarkable leadership and ability to manage the economy, the World Bank, in 2018, recognized Prime Minister Mitchell as the most outstanding finance minister in the region. The country continues to move on an impressive upward trajectory and is promoted as a model destination and economy not merely in a regional but international basis, as investors have been finding Grenada to be a safe, peaceful and excellent climate to do business. But how is the NNP government seen locally? The party has been branded by the majority as a party for all that has transformed the economic landscape of the country while providing for the social needs of ordinary people, especially the poor and vulnerable. This social approach of the government has been attacked and labeled by the NDC for the needy and greedy. Although this labeling has angered many Grenadians across party lines and has attempted to sow seeds of discord among various socio-economic groupings, the NNP has remained steadfast in its philosophy and continues to support the poor and vulnerable. Over the last 7 years, over $70 million was spent on house repair. Additionally, 353 housing units were distributed to families throughout Grenada, and 647 more are currently under construction. Hundreds of scholarships are granted every year as a strategy to lift families out of poverty and to empower them. That is why the government spends more than $50 million every year to support Grenadian students studying at universities in Grenada and abroad. As a means of providing further support to families, government paid out over $17 million through the SEED program to assist parents to support their children's education and to meet the basic needs of senior citizens. The government plans to further expand its social programs in 2020 so more people can benefit. To be able to sustain these social programs while at the same time investing in major capital projects such as road enhancement and community development initiatives, government has adopted a multifaceted approach to raise revenue. One such means is the Citizens by Investment program, which has led to significant investment opportunities. This has had a ripple effect, resulting in thousands of jobs for locals and increased business for local companies. It has also reduced the need for increased taxes. In addition to the many projects already started, such as the Silver Sands Hotel, which opened about a year ago, at least 4 more hotels are earmarked to start construction work in St. Patrick's and St. David's. Projects that will rebound to significant benefits for people in the rural parishes, including farmers, fishermen, and the unemployed. This multi-pronged approach to economic development can explain why the government, on returning to the office, has been able to reduce unemployment figures from over 40% under the NDC in 2013 to 15.1% in the first quarter of 2019. Government's focus is now on developing a comprehensive training program to prepare people for thousands of jobs that are forthcoming. The government must be credited for a huge reduction in the national debt. During the 2008 election campaign, the NDC accused the NNP of incurring high national debt, but the NNP has always argued that the debt, which was incurred mainly for major government projects, is not the real issue. The party has explained that the most important issue regarding the national debt is the country's ability to repay its debts. With this philosophy in mind, government was able to successfully reduce the debt to GDP from 108% to 55.8% in just 7 years. This outstanding achievement provides additional room for government to create far more opportunities for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. On November 19th, during his annual budget speech, Prime Minister Mitchell announced a $1.46 billion budget. One of the biggest focus of the government in this new budget will be to improve healthcare services. Already, millions have been committed to a national health insurance initiative, and JIPA, a US-based company led by a Grenadian, Dr. Kesterned, was contracted to lead the process. Responding to a recent video created by a foreign company, coordinated and marketed by opposition elements in Grenada, with the intention to destroy the reputation of Prime Minister Mitchell and to destabilize the government, key supporters of the ruling party say that it is unfortunate that opposition elements in the country will choose to put selfish ambitions and party politics before country, going out of the way to discredit the country internationally with lies and rumors. But Prime Minister Mitchell says his focus now is on building Grenada and providing opportunities for the people, and as a result, he will not allow himself to be drawn into an opposition's strategy aimed at derailing the success of the country. Despite the local party politics in Grenada, the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique continues to be a shining star in the region and a beacon of hope for the economic prosperity of the Caribbean region.
She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock. She love this spice and rock. Give me the rock. She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock.
Residents affected by broken road in Molineux may have to face a relocation. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Thursday, December 12th, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Infrastructure Development Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen says residents in close proximity to the broken road in Molineux will have to relocate as intervention is urgently required to address the land slippage in that area. Traffic will be diverted in the area effective Friday, December 13th to facilitate geotechnical and engineering studies and design work on the road section between Mount Morris Junction and Molineux. Speaking with the Government Information Service on site on Thursday, Minister Bowen said the situation is a community national disaster issue and not simply a road problem.
Some of the people here must move. They may take the chance and say, I don't want to move. You may find a solution. But the solution may be sinking plane or just getting off the topsoil. The solution to this may be the relocation of all the houses and getting down to the plain where you have solid rock. But a road cannot stay at this time. We may have to relocate the road. So it's a big problem that we recognized a long time ago.
Working with the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport and Implementation says effective Friday, 13th December from 7 a.m., heavy trucks will not be allowed to use the Western Main Road. All heavy trucks and trailers are advised to use the Eastern Main Road and other alternative routes. Effective Monday, 16th December, from 7 a.m., all other vehicles are advised to use the Mount Morris Concrete Road to facilitate the traffic coming from St. John, St. Mark and St. Patrick towards St. George, and Jones Road to facilitate the traffic coming from St. George towards the western side.
We will be closing the road from Monday. I think you have looked at the bypasses. The police gave detailed information on the roads that we'll use so that we can get a one-way traffic, right? And the only two-way traffic will be from the main road a little lower down going up to Mount Morris. That's the only place we'll have two-way traffic, maybe 400 feet or something like that. But the rest to going around there will be one way. Obviously, you may find a vehicle coming from you in the next direction, but that will most likely be a homeowner who is living in the particular area. So I want to take the opportunity now to thank in advance the homeowners, because it is a residential area and you will have a significant amount of traffic, going there. So we hope that within a couple of months, we'll have a detailed design on how to solve this. And that detailed design maybe remove the road, remove the building, do plates, sheets, and you have piles and so. Could be sheet piles that you go down to stop the plane from shifting. But we'll wait on them to see exactly what the solution will be. And even if we could fix this road, I say again, some ask, why don't you go and curve on the side? Now you see these tires? That you might call is an innovative way of preventing the slip plane from the top. But if you remove it, that doesn't mean that the slip plane will not continue below here or will not continue from the top. That's what the geotechnical study will tell us from where the slippage is starting and how we can find a solution to this.
Minister Bowen says when former UK Prime Minister David Cameron visited the region a few years ago, Grenada received $28 million and the grant was distributed in two main areas, to Nawassa and to address slips on the Western Main Road.
So part of that project, $16 million project, is to do the geotechnical studies for this area and other areas along the Western Main Road. You do not simply come and change the road or say you're repairing the road. This is not a normal road where you have good solid foundation. We recognize that you have problems and slips in these areas. And that is why the consultants have already been shortlisted even before we close the road. We have been monitoring and we realize that the deterioration rate has increased. So therefore we close the road for the safety of the motorists as well as the residents in the area.
The minister commended residents in the area who engaged an engineering firm to advise on the best course of action, but he says the firm the government is hiring will be of international standard. The Royal Grenada Police Force says strict penalties will be enforced on drivers who fail the soon-to-be-implemented breathalyzer test. The RGPF is optimistic that the rollout of the test will deter drivers from excessively consuming alcohol while driving and so will introduce a culture of safe road use. Head of the Traffic Department Superintendent Randy Connaught says in 2017, amendments were made to the road traffic legislation to add breathalyzer testing. Under the legislation, the limit stated is 70 micrograms of alcohol to 100 milliliters of breath and 160 micrograms of alcohol to 100 milliliter of blood. He says the law gives officers the right to test a driver upon reasonable cause of suspicion and also arrest the driver without a warrant.
Section 62B, subsection 1 of the Act states, where a member of the police force has reasonable cause to suspect that a person driving or attempting to drive or in charge of a motor vehicle on the road has alcohol in his or her breath or blood exceeding the prescribed limit. And the limit we speak of, in the case of alcohol breath, it is 70 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath. And in the case of blood, 160 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood, or any portion as may be prescribed by regulation. So the regulation is subject to change over time.
Any driver who fails the test can be charged before a magistrate and receive a maximum charge of $10,000 and 2 years imprisonment.
Upon first conviction, the individual can be fined up to $5,000 or imprisonment up to 12 months. And in the case of a second or subsequent offenses, up to $10,000 or 2 years in prison. I hope that resonates well within the minds of the general public. It is supposed to be a deterrent first and foremost, but the consequences are very grave, and I want us to take cognizance of this.
The breathalyzer test will be officially introduced before the end of this month. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Did you join the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985 and have since retired? This might be important to you. Government understands that the NIS pension may be insufficient to take care of your needs. So, while it awaits the court's ruling on the matter of pension for public officers, government has taken action to protect your quality of life so that you can take care of your needs in the meantime. Persons who joined the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985 and serve continuously in an established position for a minimum 26 years and 8 months and retired at age 60 may be eligible to receive an advance payment, which when combined with NIS represents 70% of their last salary. For more information, call or visit the Pension Secretariat in the Department of Public Administration, Ministerial Complex, 440-3767.
Welcome back. 25 officers are now trained and certified to conduct the breathalyzer test throughout Grenada. The equipment, which is part of a US $45,000 grant from the St. George's University, will be placed at 10 of the 15 police stations along with trained officers to operate it. Training was conducted in March 2019 by Rose International, a Trinidad-based company.
Okay, we have a total of 25 police officers across the island receiving training. Out of the 25, there are 10 persons trained for on the units that will be operated at the police station. So the field testing operations, a total of 25 officers, And for what I would refer to as the home units at the station, we have 10 supervisors trained in that respect. Over a 3-day period, it was very intense over a 3-day period. It was during the month of March of 2019. And although very intense, but every officer upon completion of the training received a certificate.
On Thursday, the RGPF held a demonstration of the equipment for members of the media.
So the officer first identified himself or herself, informed the driver of his observation, which might be serving on the road, it might be the smell of alcohol, or it might be empty alcohol bottles in his or her vehicle. And he expresses his intention to perform the breathalyzing test. So the officer will introduce the device and invite the driver to blow a sample of his or her breath into the device. If the driver cooperates and blows into the device, a reading may or may not be recorded on the device. If no reading is recorded, the driver is allowed to leave without any sanction.
ACP Jessamine Prince says the force has been assured that the partnership with the Trinidad company guarantees maintenance and supplies.
Rose International, Rose Company, will provide us with the supplies that are needed, and that is mostly the expendable items like the tubes that you're blowing. Those are one that has to be in constant supply. Any other equipment that is needed, they are readily available to provide for us just from Trinidad.
Finally, in the news, the Ministry of Health says due to ongoing remedial work at the Birth and Death Department, Ministry of Health, the department will be closed on Friday, December 13th. Services are being relocated to the former Houses of Parliament office, which is situated at the top road of the ministerial complex, and will become effective Monday, December 16th. The ministry says requests for certificates can be made at the respective district offices, and every effort will be made to restore services at the main office as soon as possible. That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, December 12th. Let's recap the top story. Residents affected by a broken road in Molyneux may have to face relocation. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
If you want to stay married, divorce speed. Never drink and drive. After whiskey, driving is risky. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
This is very, very important for the people of Moncton. There are many children and many young mothers who would have gotten jobs or gotten training opportunities, but because they have young children and nowhere to put them, then that's a problem. So the fact that we have this new Child Development Center, they now will be able to put their children in a safe home and go out to find a job or to find some of the training opportunities that is available that can help them to get a job in the future.
First of all, I would really like to thank Minister Delma Thomas and the government for having the vision to give us such an excellent facility in Moncton. Well, this facility is extremely important to Moncton and the surrounding communities because Moncton is one of the most populated villages with children in the entire Northwest constituency. And to have a model center like this, being the first one built in St. Andrew and having it in Moncton, it's a blessing for us. As we all know, the brain develops most rapid in a child's life in its early stages. And as a result of that, this facility is so important. It will enable the young ones to develop the social skills that will enable them to better engage with other children and with other adults growing up. Well, I must tell you that Moncton is a place, as a community, that has its challenges, with younger people growing up. And I'm convinced that such a facility will help the young ones to change their behavior and change their attitude as they become adults because of the importance of this facility and what it would have done for them in their early childhood years.
Of virgin's joy, a child is born, a messenger of peace. God and his angels rejoice in perfect bliss. Jesus, Emmanuel, was born this day. As he lay in a manger for these. Holy child, holy lamb, little Bethlehem. Praise him, his name in all the earth. Jesus, he's the King in all the earth. A baby lay in a bale of hay, choir sweetly sing. A cat to watch over those who watch the sun and the babe. God and his angels rejoice in all the earth. Holy child, holy lamb, Christ Emmanuel.
Brooklyn, New York. Good morning to all of our listening audience. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A special good morning to those of you listening to us on 97.5 City Sound FM, 89.5 CRFM, 92.9 Sister Eye Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and of course 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. Of course, a very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video that's on YouTube and of course on Facebook. We encourage you to share and like the live video. Get everybody involved in what's happening. It's always a pleasure being here with you. And of course, we have lots and lots and lots and lots of things that we need to talk about today, that we need to discuss. I hope time permits us the opportunity to do that. I know yesterday we had very interesting, very good conversation as it relates to that road in Molinaire. I hope that a lot of people would have gotten a better understanding as to what is happening within the area. And we know that there are the people out there who, even with a better understanding, they prefer to just keep the, the sensationalism going. But we can only do what we can to ensure that the public is informed. It's what you choose to do with the information that's important, right? So definitely a lot to talk about. We are in the Christmas season, so we want to encourage everyone out there, all of you out there, to be mindful of that. It's supposed to be a jolly season, a season of giving, a season of love, but not forgetting that it is a season for us to remember our Lord and Savior, because it is his birthday. So you definitely want to keep that at the forefront of the reason as to why we celebrate. All right. Now, this is my utmost favorite song for the holiday. Jonathan, I must say that you did your thing with this song. And to those of you listening out there in the diaspora, that is actually a local rendition, right? So you can, I guess he has it on YouTube and so on, but go ahead and look him up. And it's really a beautiful, beautiful rendition and my favorite for the season so far, and we have a lot to talk about, but you guys, it's Friday and my red chair is empty, so I'm here alone. So we're going to open the lines from very early this morning because we have a lot of topics to touch on. We've touched on a lot of things during this week, and we want to follow up on what you know and what you understand. Tell us what you learned from all of this, because I'm here talking every day, telling you information, giving you information, listening to you, sharing the facts. But I need to hear from you. What have you learned? What have you gathered from what we are sharing with you? So it's important for us to give you an opportunity to share with us the positives, on what you've learned from us. We have our local number, which is 440-7377. And of course, you can contact us on WhatsApp. Send us a WhatsApp at 440-7377. Remember, you can't call. We can't answer the calls just yet. We're going to get to that place, but we're not there just yet. And of course, for those of you in the diaspora, you can call us on 347-329-3101. I'm hoping that in the upcoming weeks, it's not too long until Christmas. I'm hoping that in the upcoming weeks we can have our ministers in here to just give us a little Christmas greeting, come through, say hi to their people, to their constituents, and to Grenada on a whole. Just give us a little pass by. So we're hoping that we have that opportunity during this week. But yes, I listen to, it's my duty to ensure that I'm informed and that I listen to and read comments and listen to what the public is saying, because your perception is important. Perception has a lot of power. I can give you as much information as I want to, but it is your perception that is important, right? Perception has a lot of power. So I've been listening to a lot of the talk shows and reading a lot of the comments. And I want to read a comment from an individual on Facebook. I'm going to put them on the spot this morning because I think a lot of that is not done. We ain't putting people on the spot enough, right? So I'm going to put this gentleman on the spot this morning. Let me pull up his... He's a well-known individual, a well-known political activist, right? And I want to read his comment this morning because I read it yesterday and my mouth fell open. I had to close it with my hands because I was in shock. And I only have a few questions to ask this gentleman when I'm done. So I really hope he's listening. I'll read the comment and I'll tell you who it's from. It says... Healthcare in crisis. Agriculture treated like unwanted stepchildren. But 38 million from China for the cricket stadium. Hashtag Vision NNP. I just want you to let that sink in for a little while. Just let it sink in. Because I'm going to talk about it. It's my duty to talk about it. I'll read it again. Healthcare in crisis. Agriculture treated like unwanted stepchildren. But 38 million from China for the cricket stadium. Now, yesterday, I remember saying that this would be the new train that they jump on. right? I remember saying that. I saw it coming. I saw that this is what they were going to do. And again, Mr. Randall Robinson, I'm very, very disappointed. I am very, very disappointed. I expect better from a very educated individual. You know, why are we, or why are you continuing to mislead the Grenadian people? So let's talk about this alleged $38 million that people are saying that China is giving us $38 million to repair the cricket stadium. And I hope that the people who's supposed to listen to this, they're listening. So let me try to break it down. Now, this $38 million that everybody is up in arms about and knows exactly which sector it must be allocated to, it is not $38 million in cash that we are receiving from the Chinese government. The Chinese government, who is responsible for building the stadium to begin with, they have agreed that they will renovate and maintain the National Cricket Stadium, right? And I have to verify whether it is the cricket or the athletic stadium. I'm not 100% sure. But whichever of the two, they were responsible for the building of those stadiums. So they have agreed that they will maintain and they will repair, do renovations, whether it be electrical, structural, whatever renovation is needed, they will conduct that. This gift that they're giving us is not cash. They didn't say to the government of Grenada, we're going to give you over $30 million in cash for the National Stadium. That's not what happened. What they have done is they have done an estimation of what this entire procedure will cost. So that over $30 million is value, not cash. It's value. So you have the Chinese government, they will be sending their electricians, their masons, their plumbers, their carpenters, whatever labor is necessary for this repair and maintenance to happen. They are providing that labor force, right? Once that labor force is provided, these people have to be paid. These people have to have accommodation. These people have to have materials to work with, right? So that will cost something. These people have to eat. That will also cost something. These people have to travel to and fro, meaning to China, back to Grenada, to China, to Grenada, from Grenada back to China. These people have to eat, have to sleep somewhere. That's going to cost something too. So, Mr. Robinson, I'm going to give you an opportunity to clarify your statement, because to me, outright, it looks like you're trying to insinuate that we're receiving $38 million and the healthcare system is in crisis and agriculture is being ignored and we should use the money elsewhere. That's what I gather from your public post. So I'll give you the opportunity to correct that and to clarify that for the people, as I am now doing, giving them the information, the correct information at that, and letting them know that we have not received the $38 million in cash and put it into the stadium. That is not what has happened. And this constant back and forth in trying to make the government look bad, or trying to make the government look like they're not doing what they're supposed to do, or that they don't have the country's best interests at heart, needs to stop. We Grenadians need to put an urgent stop to this nonsense. This deliberate attempt to mislead the people who really don't know, or probably don't understand, or probably don't have somebody to sit and explain it to them. You know, that deliberate attempt to do that has to stop. Is it that this side believes that Grenadians are very foolish? Is it that this side believes that Grenadians don't have the means of understanding things when it's explained to them? Is it that they believe that we lack the common sense to determine whether they're lying to us or not? Because that's all that it has been every single time in the past couple months that these people have gone to a public forum and speak on something regarding government. It has always turned out to be a lie. They have always been caught with their pants at their ankles. Why must they do that? Is it that we are so hungry for power? Is it that we are so eager to get in office by any means possible that we don't care about the well-being of the people? That we don't care about what our people understand and what they don't understand? That we don't care about whether our people benefit from programs that are meant to help them elevate their standard of living? Is that what this is all about? Is that really the kind of representation that we want as a people? I am growing tired of saying that government is a continuum, right? If we do not tackle, even yesterday, it was being said that government is reactive, government doesn't do what they're supposed to do on time and in a timely manner. So are you now saying that we must reject the gift of the Chinese government to renovate and maintain the National Stadium and leave it so that it deteriorates so that we have something else to run our mouths about? Is that what we must do now? Is that the stage that we have gotten to? And I'm disappointed in the fact that they're making it seem as if the government is responsible for people not taking advantage of the opportunities available to them in agriculture. So much money has been pumped into agriculture. So many opportunities are available to our people in agriculture. But as the common saying goes, you can bring the water to the horse, but you cannot make it drink. You can provide all of the necessary environments for agriculture to flourish. But if you do not have the people interested in doing agriculture, how will it flourish? So you expect the government, meaning the public service, the public servants, our nurses, our doctors, our policemen, the people who sit in various ministries along with the 15 representatives, to abandon their now important posts and go and work the land. That's what you want them to do. Because agriculture is treated as a stepchild. But who is treating agriculture as a stepchild? How much farming, Mr. Robinson, have you done? Let's start there. How much have you contributed to the agricultural sector since it's being treated as a stepchild? Why don't you adopt it? Adopt it. Adopt agriculture and treat it as a child. Treat it as a biological child now. Because you believe that it's being treated as a stepchild, because this is some way for you to say that the NNP is inadequate to run the country, or this is some way for you to say that the NNP government is not doing what it's supposed to do in the agricultural sector. This is another way for you to bash our Minister of Agriculture, to say that she's ineffective at her job. But what are you doing to contribute to the agricultural sector? What have you done to encourage young men who are sitting on the blocks in your constituency to go out there and to take advantage of the many opportunities that are available in the agricultural sector? How many pieces of your land do you plant anything to contribute to the agricultural sector? And that's not just for him. That goes for all of the people who sit there in their living rooms with clean hands, who have never lifted a fork or a spade in their lives but believe that they are so informed on what agriculture should be and have never contributed anything to the development of the agricultural sector. Let's talk about healthcare since you want to get there. Healthcare is in crisis. Yes, it's in crisis. Everybody dying. We don't have no nurses. That's what you think. That's what you're saying. That's what you are making people here and abroad believe. But that is not the fact of the matter. That is not the fact of it. That's not the meat of the matter. Can more be done in the healthcare system? We have said it here before. Government has said it on public forums. Absolutely. Absolutely. Do you think the healthcare crisis that is happening is singular to Grenada? Do you believe that it is singular to Grenada? Is Grenada the only country throughout the world that has a shortage of nurses? Where nurses are migrating? And it's not that we have a shortage of nurses. What we see happening is that the more experienced nurses are migrating, which, by the way, they have a right to do, you know. If you see an opportunity for greener pastures, are you going to tell them don't take it? Of course you want them to take it. But the government must now put measures in place to deal with that shortfall. So don't make it sound as if the issue is singular to Grenada. The reason these nurses can migrate is because there are opportunities elsewhere for them to take. It means that positions are available elsewhere for them to fill. They're not just migrating on the basis that they hope to find something better. They're migrating on the basis that there is a need elsewhere for nurses. And how can we compare Grenada to the United States or the United Kingdom when it comes to the healthcare sector, when it comes to payment of nurses? How can we compare our little island to them? It's unfair to make our people believe that our healthcare system is so terrible, that it's the worst in the world, that it's the worst in the region. Nobody is pointing fingers and saying that this person is responsible or that person is we are all responsible. Healthcare in Grenada is free. You go to the hospital as an inpatient, you ain't paying for food, you ain't paying for the medication you're getting, you ain't paying for the bandages, sorry I had to go down in my dialect, but I mean, these things make me passionate. You pay for nothing when you're an inpatient, but yet you want a 5-star treatment. Not saying that you shouldn't get it, but what I'm saying is we all need to contribute in order to make it what we want it to be. And I can guarantee that if they start charging you now a fee for when you're an inpatient, if they start charging you when you go into the hospital and you lie on the bed for a week, a month, 2 months, and the nurses have to attend to you, with some of you with very bad attitudes, and they have to feed you, and they have to give you medication, and they have to put bandages on your wounds, and at the end of it all, you get a bill. How many of us would be willing to pay it? And at the end of the day, we turn around and say, well, government not for poor people, because watch the amount of money I have to spend in healthcare. But when it was free, we had a problem. We didn't agree with the standard. We didn't care that the nurses needed to be paid or that medicine needed to be bought. We didn't care about that. All we know is the fact that we got attended to and we left the hospital. That's all we care about. Hands swinging. when some of the same ones of you who leave here and go to the United States to get health care, and you get your $100,000 bill and you pay it in secret, come back here and want free health care for everybody, but you want it to be at the best standards for free. Where is the money going to come from? We keep talking about this pie that everybody needs to get a piece of. If we listen to objective Grenadians who are telling the truth in the diaspora, they will tell you that the healthcare system is not all of that we make it appear to be. I heard somebody recently said that the gynae ward in the hospital has 18 beds to 100,000 people. Well, I want to know if it's only 100,000 female of childbearing age that live in Grenada. I really want to know. These are the things that we put out there when we go on public radio and talk. 18 beds to a population of 100,000 people in the gynae ward. Tell me. Like he trying to tell us something that I don't know, he's probably trying to give us a message. We have to understand that in Grenada we have people that are not of childbearing age. We have people that will probably never in their lifetime utilize the gynae ward. I mean, come on. Why would you put that out there? We are all sitting on our high horses, running our mouths about the healthcare system, but what have we done to make it better? What ideas have you contributed to make it better? I see a young man go in the hospital the other day and take a picture of a bed that he deemed he deemed that bed as not suitable for a patient, right? And while he might be right, why hasn't he done something to help? Why hasn't he said, okay, well, we're gonna do a little fundraising, and the $500 we raise or the $700 we raise, we're gonna donate it to the hospital for a new bed to be bought and these things. Why do we feel as Grenadians that we can't do these things? Why do we feel as Grenadians we can't do a fundraiser, we can't make a donation towards improving the healthcare service? Why do we feel that way? What are we doing other than running our mouths to assist? Grenada is ours. We live in Grenada. Grenada is us. We are all a part of this country. We must all be a part of this process. So why are we making this issue singular to 15 people? The Minister of Health is responsible for policy making. He's the policy making arm of the Ministry of Health. But it's not just him. He is not the healthcare system. That system encompasses a lot of other people. His permanent secretaries, the people within his ministry, the nurses, the doctors. It encompasses so many other aspects. So you want us to take a grant? All right, we can get a grant from some country, and that grant is going to go towards renovating the hospital, right? We renovate the hospital and everything good. Are you trying to say that 10 years down the line we have to go and look for our next grant again? This is why the National Health Insurance has been instituted or is being instituted, so that the healthcare sector can sustain itself. It needs to sustain itself. Healthcare is something that is a right. It is something that everyone needs from time to time, whether you are young, whether you are old, whether you are rich, whether you are poor. At some point in time, you are going to need the healthcare system in Grenada. Whether you have $1 million in your bank account, if you fall sick at night with no planes to take you to where you need to go, you had to go in the general hospital anyway. Whether it's just for a day or it's for a month, we all are going to need the healthcare service at some point. Therefore, we all must be ready to contribute to its development and its sustainability. Why must we make everything a problem with no solutions? You meet people in the street and they're talking about, well, the healthcare system bad, the roads bad, everything bad. And you ask them, well, what do you think can be done to make it better? And they cannot answer you because it's always the same story over and over and over. They take it from the mouth of one person, put it in their mouth and pass it on to the mouth of somebody else. There's no real reasoning. There's no critical thinking. There's no objectiveness, no analyzing, nothing. You know, it's just very sad that we are at a place as Grenadians where we still just don't get it. Where we still just don't understand that this has nothing to do with Dr. Mitchell. And the funny thing is, if Dr. Mitchell resigns today, whoever succeeds him in or whatever party succeeds the NNP, they still gonna turn around and blame us, you know. They're going to still turn around and say, oh, well, it's their fault that this is that way. They are the reason because they didn't do this and they did. So then you do it. You're in the position to do it. You do it. They still wouldn't because they can't. They have no plans. It's very sad. I know of people who are living in the United States right now. One person had to move from one state to a next state because when they collect their paycheck, all they have is a couple $100 left because they had to pay taxes in this and taxes in that and taxes in the other. And we as Grenadians complain. Some of us, all we pay in is a little VAT. But yet we complain and we behave. You know? And to those of you on the live, let me nip it in the bud, that are so concerned as to where the Prime Minister receives his health care, they're not your business. I'll be very plain. They're not your business. Focus on you. Focus on what you can contribute. Because he is doing all that he can do for Grenada and more. Apart from running your mouths, what are you doing? When he fall asleep on a nice fluffy pillow in the night and you sit down there hating the man, what is that doing to him as a person? It only makes him stronger. And the sad thing is, he works so hard for the country, does so much for us as a people, and still, in all of the animosity and the hate, he continues to do. The man needs an award. Some of you spending so much time focusing on what he is doing. And everything around you is falling apart. Focus on that. Focus on making yourself better so that you can help somebody else. That's not your business. The man is entitled to go wherever he wants to receive health care, as do you. What we fail to realize is that the healthcare system in Grenada is what people here can afford. So they're using it. You think if half of Grenadians couldn't jump on a plane and go to the US for healthcare, they wouldn't do it? And it happens. It happens. There are a lot of Grenadians who jump on a plane and go to the US and they go for healthcare, but we will never know about it. We will never know about it. Because that is the people's right. It is their privilege to receive healthcare wherever they choose. What we need to be focusing on is not where Prime Minister receives his healthcare. What we need to be focusing on is what we can do as a people to help build the healthcare system in our own country. That is what is important. So leave the man alone and let's look at the issues. Let's look at what we can do as a people. I mean, we have to do better. We have to do better. And this is one of the reasons as to why the other party feels so empowered to stand on public forums and lie to us as Grenadians. Because they know that before Grenadians catch wind of the lie that they told, they would have already shared it to half of the island, or quarter of the island. And it cannot be taken back once it's out there. And you have poor innocent citizens who are in desperate need of some of the programs and help that is available, not accessing these services simply because they have been told that they are not eligible, simply because of their political views. When that is not the truth. Why do we do that? What do we gain? What do we gain from doing this kind of thing to our people? What are we hoping that by the time Grenadians realize that you've lied to them, that you would already be in office? Is that what we're doing now? We gone back to the same 2008 days when you lie to the Grenadian public and tell them you're going to jail Dr. Mitchell because he's involved in corruption because of a briefcase. When you get into office, you can't even do anything because it's not true. That's where we're at now again. Are we starting to regress as a people? Is that what we want to do? I mean, we have to open our eyes. As Grenadians, we have to want more. It is our right to want more. Anywhere you go, anywhere in the world, in any strata of life that you are in, you have to want more. You have to. It is your right. It is your privilege as a Grenadian to want more. But with wanting more, you have to understand that sacrifices will be made. And what sacrifice are you as a Grenadian willing to make to ensure that we have a better healthcare service, healthcare system, a more robust agricultural sector, a more robust tourism sector? What are we doing as a people to contribute to that? We talk about, a lot of money is being forced into the tourism sector and they need to put some more money here and put some more money there. But it is one pie. We don't want to pay our taxes. We don't want more taxes. We don't want higher taxes. We don't want the government to take loans. We find that the government must say where they want grant money spent. So just now, we will have a situation where people didn't want to give us grant money because all Grenadians doing is just condemning, and nothing is happening in Grenada. So their grant money would be better spent elsewhere. So then we have a situation where no tax is being paid. The tourism sector is not at its best because we find that the money that we gain in tourism sector, we can allocate it to healthcare. Healthcare system continues to fail because we as Grenadians don't want to contribute to ensure that it is sustainable. And then what we find is that the pie keeps getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And a smaller pie means smaller slices. I don't understand how much more I have to pound this in. And with any government that comes in office, whether it's this administration, who has done exceptionally well, whose reputation precedes itself, you know, what can the other parties say that they have done for the Grenadian people? Huh? What can they say that they have done? Apart from riding on the backs of the projects that have been started by this administration, what else can they say they have done? It's sad. We have to prioritize. Okay, we want our healthcare system to be in order, but we must make the decision to do it. We must make the decision to say, I am ready to contribute. What can I do? As opposed to sitting down and say, well, the healthcare system no good. It do good, but you bounce you too and you're going up in the hospital still. And expect to get free attendance. The healthcare system do good. But you get sick with gastroenteritis and you're in the hospital anyway. Receiving free health care. But you want it to be better. We have to understand that with our wants, there must come sacrifices. We have to be ready to make those sacrifices as a people. It's very sad that we are at a place where the other political parties just don't get it. You know why there's still opposition? And why they can call themselves the main opposition party? Simply because they've been in opposition long enough. You know, with what they call it, tenure? You ever hear tenure in opposition, Nazim? They have tenure. So that makes them the leading opposition party. But they remain opposition because they're just not learning. You're just not learning. You know why the NNP is so strong? We're strong because we opposition remains weak. We are strong because we continue to deliver. We don't just talk. We're not all about talk. We deliver. We are a party of actions. You may not agree with some of the things that the government does. It's your right to do so. But you must sit and ask yourself the question, how has what they've done benefited the country? Not benefited me as an individual. Because sometimes there are things that the government will do that will not benefit every single individual in the country. But it will benefit a few. It will make the lives of a few better. And that is an achievement. Government is never going to be able to please 100% of the Grenadians all of the time. They know that. No government is going to be able to do that. So let's stop with the finger pointing. We're wasting too much time as Grenadians passing blame and making noise when we can be so much further than we are if we all come together. And sometimes we fail to realize that regardless of your political affiliation, when a government goes in office, their duty is to work for the people of Grenada, the whole of Grenada, not just NNPites or NDCites, the whole of Grenada. Everybody stands to benefit. Nobody is marginalized. You know, and that is what we fail to realize. Regardless of your political affiliation, you have to work together with the government to ensure that Grenada thrives. Why we seeing this thing as an NP government and an NDC government? Government is government. Government is all a we. We are all government. We all determine what happens in this country. We all have a say. We may not all agree with which method the administration chooses to use. But we're not looking at the method. We're looking at the results. We're looking at the benefit. We're looking at the outcome. We're looking at what is best for Grenada. We're looking for sustainability, things that can last throughout a lifetime. I read a quote the other day, and I think it's one of my favorite quotes of all time. You know? It's by Phil Jackson. He says the strength of a team is each individual. And the strength of each individual is the team. And that is such a powerful statement because it just simply means that it's all of us. It's not just one person. The strength of the administration is every single public servant and Grenadian that works along with them to ensure success. That is the strength of the administration. And vice versa. The strength of every individual in Grenada, every person within the state, every citizen, is the strength of the team, the administration that has been put to govern. That's what's important. That's how we have to look at it. We keep fighting this never-ending battle of the parties, of which one is better. Who cares which one is better? What we need to be fighting for is who is working on behalf of Grenadians to ensure that we have a better standard of living, to ensure that Grenada is at a higher infrastructural level, to ensure that the tourism sector is at its highest, to ensure that agriculture becomes a robust sector. That is what we need to focus on. We fight in this color battle for too long. And every time we fight it, we come out on the losing end. And we are still not learning as Grenadians. We have a first caller on the line for the morning. Good morning, caller.
We fight in this color battle for too long. And every time we fight...
Caller, can you listen to me on the phone and not on the radio? If you're listening through the radio, there's going to be a lag and I'm not going to be able to hear you. Hello?
Miss Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
How things?
Good, I can't complain.
Reverend man is here.
Yes.
This much is bright.
It is bright.
I want to say, this is why we have a good team. Because the team what build this country is a team of love and unity. And they don't fight one another. They work together and everybody gives ideas. And they work to the ideas. Sometimes your idea mightn't be fortunate to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
But they work together, and this is why we have a good team called NMP. And we have a good leader. What we need is all the team and the functioning properly. Why do you think NDC mash up? Because they didn't have no good team. They didn't have no vision. They did not have no love for anybody. So this is why they mash up.
Yeah.
So they see a good team, and they see the good team is trying to build Grenada and to work for every Grenadian. It's not NDC, it's not NMP, it's every Grenadian. Because we are in this country. Anything happen to this country is not NMP what get in the hot. It's every Grenadian get the hot.
Yeah.
Because we are in it. And we have to make sure we put the right government and the right team to build this country for we.
Yeah.
And not for the Prime Minister, it's not for Mr. Bowen, it's for we.
It's
and all of us work together and bring this country in the right footings.
Absolutely.
So all of us will benefit. All of us will get our food.
Yeah.
In one side getting piece of food and one side will get in. Everybody getting because we are Grenadians.
Yep.
We are the leader of this country. And we are make decision and look to it and work to it. This is why Grenada is so fine.
Mm-hmm.
If Grenada decide they don't put in no money and they don't help in, you think Grenada will have go good in 2008?
Of course
you
not.
think Grenada will have a rich 2013? No. Grenada see they have the right team and they work together with the team and make Grenada a better country.
Yeah.
We mightn't be satisfied, other people mightn't satisfied, but we please what our government doing and what it will do. We just have to have patience.
Yeah.
We just have to have patience and everything will go smooth.
Yeah.
Government know everything. You know everybody hurt. You know everybody pain.
Yeah.
But what you do, you can't kill yourself. You have to take one day at a time and move.
Absolutely.
Well, anyhow, enjoy your Christmas.
You too.
And I would like to see you for the New Year. So you take care.
All right, you too.
All right, bye-bye. Later.
Thank you so much for that contribution, caller. And he's absolutely right. It's all of us. Government knows. They know. I mean, there are a few things that we can probably bring to their attention a lot faster. But they know. They know our hurts, as the caller said. They know our pains. You know? They want to help. They want to be able to just meet the needs of every individual. To ensure that nobody's hurting. But they can't. They're restricted. Like I said, it's one pie. It's one pie. The money have to come from somewhere. The question is, where? Where is the money going to come from? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Mr. Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, how are everything?
I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, Mr. Duncan, this man, I do focus on the achievement.
Hello? Oh no, it seems like we've lost that caller. Go ahead and give us a call back when your phone is up and running. You know, but we have to understand. We don't want to pay taxes. So where is government going to get the money to do all of the things that we say government should do? We don't want government to take loans. Where? And I hear a lot of people jumping up and down about, oh, oil and gas. This thing is a process. So you expect Dr. Mitchell to say oil and gas in 2019 and 2020, we must get gas. We must get oil. And we must reap the benefits. Look at Guyana, for example. How many years has it taken for them to actually start benefiting from the oil and gas that they have? Do the research. And stop making people make us sound foolish. Well, not us, but you know what I mean. Stop making people put ideas that are not your own in your head. Do your own thinking and your own analysis. Look around you. Look at the amount of children we have going to school. Look at the amount of people with electricity, the amount of people with water, the amount of people who are now going to have indoor bathrooms. Look at the amount of vendors that you have selling agricultural produce, which, by the way, half of you don't even go and buy. But you're talking about agricultural sector dying. I don't understand. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, me honey bunch.
Good morning. How are you, Miss Jacob?
Huh?
How are you?
I'm blessed and highly favored. And you, my darling, you are too blessed and highly favored too, sweetheart.
I am.
Yes, my baby. Don't study those tractors, those bad tractors outside there. Don't study them. We just have to pray.
Yeah.
That our Lord can guide our handsome, beautiful Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Kit Claudius Mitchell. So sweet as a darling. And just study those tractors outside there.
Well, Miss Jacob, I have to study them sometimes, because I feel for a lot of the Grenadians that they're misleading.
Well,
that,
let me tell
that
you
don't
something,
understand.
Let me tell you something. They're giving us things just for we to focus on them. So we have to divert from them. We have to do what we have to do. And our people know what we have to do. Forget them. They're not going nowhere. They're nowhere. We had one last night. Oh, God, I don't know what I'd buy a shopping mall.
But you see, Miss Jacob, the thing is, we can simply say that our people know the truth, or our people are okay. But you see, the thing is, it's not just about our people. It's about Grenadians on a whole. Because at the New National Party, we don't care if you're NDC or you're NNP. What we care about is improving the livelihood of all Grenadians, because all Grenadians matter just the same.
We all are Grenadians. We have to work together. We cannot divide.
Exactly.
It's terrible outside there, but we have to pray.
Yep, we definitely do.
We have to do some good praying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it come there, I know it, and that thing that then I know it come back here in a hurry. I don't tell them already Jadbis and gone with the NDC. There's a different kind of a kettle of fish. That fish you have taste. You have nothing in it for you to put taste in them. No, we have to leave them. So they're giving you that thing, that how we to live, how we do and study them. No, they're not good how we to study them. They have all the big education, but they don't have common sense in it. They can't walk.
Yeah. Well, you enjoy your day, Miss Jacob. It's always a pleasure talking to you.
God bless you and have a wonderful weekend.
All right,
and
you
just
too.
Study these tractors and them outside.
All
Okay,
right.
Papa?
Yeah.
Love you, baby. Oh.
And that is one of the greatest attributes about the New National Party. We don't marginalize our people. We don't make people feel as if, well, if you're an NNP, if you're not an NNP, then you can't get this and you can't. It's not about that. It's about making sure that the livelihood of all of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PG Martinique can be met. To ensure that the standard of living, because if the standard of living of all Grenadians are lifted, it makes the government's job a lot easier. It makes the way in which the country is being run a lot easier. we can benefit a lot more as a people. I have a girlfriend in Trinidad. She say Trinidad is the land of oil and gas. And they still have many of the problems that we have here. Now imagine that. We are thriving, right, without the oil and gas. When that time comes for us to start to benefit, imagine what Grenada will be like. But even without the oil and gas, imagine what Grenada will be like if all of us as a people put this color war aside and start working towards the improvement of Grenada. Just imagine that. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
How are everything? I was speaking about get cut off.
No problem.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, I was speaking about the healthcare. And there's a lot of development in healthcare. You look at what the government did for healthcare in 2019. You have the Princess Alice Resilient and Smart completed. We have 2 incinerators, one for Carriacou and one for Grenada. We have St. John Polyclinic, 3 months ahead of schedule. The Princess Royal refurbishment and smarting. You have the General Hospital certified by PAHO as a baby friendly, only one in the OECS. We have electronic medical record, 80% completed. You have the Caribbean Accreditation Authority for Medication certified General Hospital as a teaching hospital for our residency program. But for some of the when you look at, you could see the development in healthcare. In 2008 to 2013, none of this was there because see, there was a government that is fighting, and they had no vision. And now they will say, well, we have people in here and there is no vision, the people perish. But I could see for this government, you have a leader with a vision, a leader that taking the country forward. And that's why you could see development and progress in Grenada, Carriacou, and the development of people's life in Grenada, Carriacou. So the detractors will see what they want, see what they see. But the Grenada know who is the government that care about them and the government that love them. Those of them are trying to instill something in some people, but the people that don't have a head, no matter what you say to them, they have a head. Alright? So then they cannot think. So I say, Ms. Duncan, we have to continue to let and inform the people. So we don't give fake information. We need the true information that will bring development to the greater Carriacou Petermatic. Yeah, that is what we want, betterment and better housing and betterment every year. And this government is doing exactly what is right. That is right. For the people of Grenada, Carriacou Petermatic, so Ms. Duncan, you have a wonderful day. God bless you.
You too. Thank you so much for your contribution, caller. Yeah. We just have to do better as Grenadians. We have to do better. We have to want more as a people. You know? I sit and I listen to people talking about, this government and, Dr. Mitchell is in corruption and all kind of nonsense. But where are the facts to back up these statements? Where is the proof? How can you just assume that there is corruption? How can you just say that there is corruption based on the fact that you think there is corruption, so there is corruption? You have no proof, you have no basis, you have nothing to back up your statements, but there's corruption. How? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
Season greetings to you, ma'am.
Same to you.
Yes, thank you. This morning I want to make just a small contribution by saying last year the children did not have the big party and things like that. But I want to say this year we are pleased. I mean, not all of the teachers participated. However, there are those that took part and the children did enjoy the little party for school. Okay? Hello?
I'm here, I'm listening.
Yeah, So I just want to say thanks to those that participated with the children for the little party. May God bless all of them. And you enjoy your holiday.
You too.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
so
you.
much. Okay,
All right.
bye-bye. Yeah.
I wish we could have a lot more of that, a lot more thank yous. You know? But it goes back to, or I go back to the statement of corruption. Tell us where the corruption is. You're talking about corruption in the shrimp farm. Show us the corruption. Show us the proof of it. Is it not just another failed investor with a failed investment? People go into business all the time and their businesses close. Is it because of corruption? You're saying there's corruption, but you can't prove it. You're saying that the man received $500,000 in a briefcase, but like you was there and you get a share because only you know about this briefcase and this $500,000 because there is no proof, just baseless accusations, fueling Grenadians with a set of hate and nonsense over propaganda. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Oh no, we seem to have lost that caller. Caller, feel free to call back. We're just fueling Grenadians with hate, transferring your hate for Dr. Mitchell onto Grenadians with a set of propaganda and baseless accusations. Why must we do that? Why must you do that to us? And why must we as a people continue to accept it? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning to you, Miss Duncan.
Hi, good morning.
And good morning to your listening audience. Well, I can tell you that I don't have no proof about corruption, but there is more than enough proof that can prove that this government have performed exceptionally well in contrast to the last. I'm not going to get into the stats. That is what we know.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is, we don't just feel it, we can also see it.
Yeah.
Now, Ms. Duncan, let me rush to a couple of points here quickly. One, let's not forget, and that is it, workers in this country must remember that. The unions must remember that. Let's not forget that. The unions approached the former administration, that was the NDC, under the leadership of Uncle Tilly, and asked them to remove the taxes from severance pay and income tax. They refused. When this government came into office and there was approach, despite the fact of our restructuring program, the government listened and they took the necessary steps and they removed it. Still for all, the same people that refuse to understand and listen to the cry of the poor man, today they are telling us that this government don't care. Now, Ms. Duncan, this government now collects more revenues than its monthly expenditure. But we know under the last administration, the NDC, they was running this country with a monthly deficit of $18 million. So today, what would have happened? What would have taken place that allowed this present government to be collecting more revenues than its monthly expenditure? Ms. Duncan, that can only happen as a result of prudent management and a heavy dose of physical responsibility. Do you know the NDC was spending more than they was making? And the point is, you run anybody out there who is running a business, any housewife out there that is taking care of the home, you know, brothers and sisters, that when you are spending more than you are making, it is a recipe for disaster.
Absolutely.
And that's the reason why the NDC did end up in the way they ended up there. Because this is not prudent management, and there was no sense of physical responsibility from this administration. Now, I want to touch a little bit on the present situation with Andel and Associates. Now, Ms. Duncan, I want to let's throw this NDC false propaganda under the bus once and for all. And to all my Grenadian brothers and sisters listening, and to the rest of the world, let us make it clear once and for all so you could debunk this BS. Dr. Mitchell have nothing to do with Andal and Associates. Dr. Mitchell has no connection to Andal and Associates. Dr. Mitchell is not a partner of Andal and Associates. So, I want you to ask Franca, ask Randall Robinson, ask Godfrey Augustine, ask Bezinski, ask Ken Jones, ask Glenwell, ask the Roberts brothers. What is Dr. Mitchell's connection to Andal and Associates? There is no truth whatsoever. No, Ms. Duncan, the media needs to talk to Brother Andal and ask him, Mr. Andal, what is the real situation? Because we're hearing so many different things and we don't hear nothing from you. So let us ask Brother Andal. The government made over 25 communication efforts since 2017 to work out with you a payment plan regarding your taxes. Ask him. I want to know, Brother Andal, which account of Andal and Associates that you don't have any access to. And let us ask Brother Andal, what was his justification in closing his doors? So, Brother Andal, we love you. And we know that you have some of the most dedicated and committed workers in this country. Let us give them a better deal. Let us think about them. Let us think about them during these holidays. Let us think about these workers who have to pay fast cash, who has to pay Accel, who has to pay the credit unions. These are people who only know 2 or 3 holidays in the year when it comes, to coming and performing, the duties in your establishment with distinction. Let us think about them. Last but not least, give me 2 seconds, please. Miss Duncan, the debushing program. The powers that be must make a big step in the future to make sure the debushing program is more fair than it is now. There is a bias that have to stop and must be stopped immediately. Some of our own people are creating the problems. Yes, When it's election, we have sides, we have colors. But after election, we are all Grenadians in need, wanting to see the best for our country. So let me say today that no members and no supporters of the NNP is bigger than the country and the party.
Yeah.
And we must always bear in mind that not everybody that voted for you in the last election will vote for you in the next election. So our people must be mindful of all of these things, and we must do the right thing. Ms. Duncan, I trust you'll have a pleasant weekend.
You as well. Thank you for calling. Always a forceful contribution, caller. But he's absolutely right. We have to be mindful of the people. What do we want as a people? What representation do we want as a people? What are our decisions to vote? What is the base of our decision? When we make a decision to vote for a particular party, what are the things that we take into consideration? These are the things that we need to think about. Where do we want to see our country in the next 10 years? And are we headed in that direction? We have another call on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Miss Duncan. And how are you?
I'm good.
Oh, Miss Duncan, I support this caller 100%. You know, when I think about Mr. Andal closing his door on the people without even no question, as far as I'm concerned, there is something in the matter beside the pestle.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't have something to hide, he would not have run away. If he had problem, he would have go to the right authority. He had help before. So why didn't he go to the right authority? You know what they said? If my people are destroyed because they lack of knowledge, because when God gives them knowledge, they rejected knowledge. They don't want to pay any taxes, but remember, taxes has been there from day one. Joseph and Mary went to the city of David, which is called Bethlehem, and that's where they pay the taxes because they call them. The governor of the day called everybody to come to their own town where they born to pay taxes. So why can't he pay the taxes? Where did he born? Not Grenada? I hope so. So why can't he pay the taxes? You know, a lot of people refuse to pay taxes. And when they go abroad, they have to pay the tax because the government will be on their back. Whatever he have coming to him, let him face it because he owed the people an apology. And the thing about it, he's selling. If he sell a tin of sardine, a tin of corned beef, a packet of flour, there is taxes on it. Give the government what's due to the government, or give Caesar what is due to Caesar. So let him face what's coming to him. Oh, the doctor case never pay him. So don't blame our good doctor. Our good doctor is doing the best. He's doing his best for the country. And let us not blame him. Everybody like to put the blame on Dr. Keith Mitchell. But remember, his shoulder is big. He'll take it. That's why he's the head of state.
That's why.
Miss Duncan, have a beautiful day. Have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you for calling.
Bye-bye.
To the person in the diaspora that was trying to reach us, you can definitely try calling back. The lines are now again open. But the caller is right. I mean, I didn't want to go into taxes today, but sometimes you have to divert a little bit, you know? But the caller is right. Give Caesar what's due to Caesar. And you know, as Grenadians, sometimes we like what we hate, you know? That is a tax that is collected on behalf of the government of Grenada. Meaning that your taxes that you are putting into this country have not been utilized. Simply because the person responsible for doing it has not done it. And where we need to sometimes focus our efforts and our energies, we do not. Who should receive blame in this situation? Let's take this caller. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sister Duncan.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm not too bad.
All
I
right.
want you to do something for me and the Grenadian people today and in all people in the diaspora, I want you to be just a good listener today. When you hear the start and the handle thing, I just want you to listen and then you're going to move on. I don't want nobody say tomorrow that Sister Duncan said this and Sister Duncan say that. All you have to tell them, I do not know.
I agree.
Let it go to the courts, whatever. Because it's a name brand here. Right? You're still young. You see, it's a name brand they're trying to create here.
Yeah.
And the name brand is Dr. Keith Claudius Mitchell.
Yep.
So, you still, long years now, I hear the foolishness with this thing. Right? I know how Andal start his whole business. I know ever since all these things start. Me and Andal work together in Water Commission. I know how it will go down. I just laughing when everybody saying things there. Sister Duncan, when you have one house, you make sure you pay for that house.
Yeah.
Then, whatever you go to the bank with and that house, then you could buy another house.
Yeah.
But if you expand yourself too much, you will get yourself in problem.
Yeah.
You understand? And that's a message for all Grenadians, all business persons, because you have to know what you're doing. You have to pay your tax, you pay your tax.
Yeah.
We don't know what go down. People is calling on the outside and say all kind of things. That's why I'm telling you to be very careful in what you going to say about that. You stay away from that. Let the courts decide that. You understand?
Fully.
That's all I'm asking for you. And another thing I would like to say to you. You hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
Yeah. Another thing I would like to say to you, don't you know, because you're still young, there's only two governments ever last more than one term in Grenada at any time? Only two, Sister Duncan. And you must ask the question why. And I want you to do this research. You're a former teacher. Go right back to the 50s, come right up. I want you to take your time and find out what. Why? So you could educate your children. You could educate the Grenadian people. Because there are those who are older than you and they don't even know why. Absolutely. Why is Dr. Eric Matthew Gary and Dr. Mitchell, no other party lasts more than one term? And if you don't want to believe me, just do the research. No other party in Grenada did more than one term at a time. Only these two parties. And why it happened? Because they was with the people, for the people, by the people, they listened to the people.
Yeah.
Gary used to have me the people too. I was never a Gary fan. But as I get older and, you go back and look at it, and then you figure out, that's why this man was so powerful. Don't you know, Sister Duncan, if you lost St. Andrews, anything in St. Andrews area, you lost the election?
No, I didn't know
Just
that.
look at it. Just look at it. You will see that Eric Matthew Gary, you understand? We run an election and we form an alliance because we could not beat Gary by the poll. And we did well. But we still was beaten 9-6. 9-6. And that's the closest we ever come to beat Gary at that time.
Yeah.
So then what we turn to? We turn to demonstration, revolution, and we as young people, Sister Duncan, we love it.
Yeah.
We didn't even think in we head what is the consequence. We just love it. And we went ahead. And the revolution, it turned out to be a good thing in the first 2 years. Everybody motivated, everybody going to school. We teaching the older people, the younger people who didn't have a good education. After work, you still go and learn something. Everybody volunteered. And that was good for the country.
Yeah.
What happened? There are some of those who think that was it. They lost respect for the boss. They lost respect for the boss. Sister Duncan, when you have no respect for your boss, tell me how long you will last.
Absolutely.
Because sooner or later your boss want to fire you. Because you had no respect for him anymore. And that was the failure of the revolution. We got another chance, Sister Duncan. We went to the NDC. There are many in the NDC, like Ken Joseph, Finley St. Louis, and others who say no. Tillman Thomas says no, we have to give them a chance.
Yeah.
And he let us into the NDC. And what we did? Sister Duncan, revolution all over again. We start to fight. We start to fight with each other.
And still fighting.
So you see, how are we going to make it again? And once you're criticizing everything, Sister Duncan, you cannot rule anything.
Yeah.
If you criticize everything a government do, you could never govern.
It's true.
Because you have to govern at 150%.
Yep.
And no man is perfect.
Yep.
So we cannot do it. Say, yes, the government do this and we think we could do it better. They do that, we could do it. Give them compliments when they do something good.
Yeah.
Point out the mistakes. You continue going down the same road, so how would you ever get a chance? The Grenadian people is not stupid. Because we did to make them look bad. Mr. Roberts talking all this bull, you know? We just to make them look bad. The Grenadian people listening. And before I go, I will tell you, Sister Duncan, when election time is one man, one vote. You could call people stupid, dotish, tell them they're sucking salt, as Frank had to tell the Dabo people. You understand me? You could call them needy-greedy, whatever you want to call them. But when election comes, that's when the people's voices shall be heard.
Yeah.
Have a good day.
You as well. Very powerful statement, caller. And I will say this, a word to the wise is sufficient. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Yes, hello, good afternoon. Good morning, sir.
Hi, can you lower the radio in the background,
Yeah,
please?
I saw there's an issue in the mall area.
That's
around the mall.
Caller?
Hello.
Hi, can you lower the volume in the background, please?
I low the volume, I already low it.
Okay, great.
There's an issue. It's an issue that is long-lasting. It's been around for a long time. In the Grand Montrouge area around the mall, whenever it's rain, all the water is in the road and vehicles getting problem to maneuver there. What is the government doing for that area? It's been years now. They need to open the drains or do something there. What are the plans for the Montrouge area?
Okay.
The other day there was skiing. You remember there was skiing there when there was this flood? And before there was a small amount of rain, the place is flooded out.
Yeah.
So I think the government should look into that area. It's not looking good. And it's a tourist belt. Thank you.
All right. All right. Well, caller, I cannot speak to that right now because I do not have the facts, and I don't like to speak without facts. What I can say, though, we are all aware that it is an issue, but it's more than just opening the drains. Remember, we have the beachfront right there. Where is the water going to go from the drainage? And that's what we need to take into consideration. And I believe that one of the biggest issues there is that the land is lower in that area than the sea. Right, it is actually below the sea level in that area, so there's a lot to take into consideration when looking at that one issue. It's not just about opening the drains. I don't have the facts on it, but I definitely can I can ask, I can find out for you, and most likely be able to let you know soonest. All right. We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
Yes. I just want to view my opinion on the taxes in question. That most people complain about taxes, but they have to realize that no country could run with it. We paying our taxes. Yes, some people do not work for much money. We do understand that. But at the same time, everyone has to pay taxes. For example, the children of Grenada are getting free books. Have the people ever asked themselves who is footing the bill? The government do. The question is, where do they get the money? It's from the tax that we pay.
Yeah.
So, for example, now they have the uproar with Mr. Andel. We don't know the answer. We don't know the problem. We don't know what happened. But everyone who is working have a right to pay the taxes. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, caller. The caller made a very, very good point. We have a lot of things happening in the country. We have the Imani program being run. We have the Empower program being run. We have the eradication of the latrines. We have free school books. We have the school feeding programs. We have an almost free healthcare, well, free, not even almost free, a free healthcare system, you know, but nobody's asking the important questions. Roads are being fixed. We have the housing programs. We have nurses being paid, doctors being paid, public servants being paid, teachers being paid. We have resources being purchased so these people can complete their jobs. But the caller is right. Nobody's asking the question, where is the money coming from? We have another caller on the line. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan.
Hi, good morning, Miss Cammy.
Good morning to Ms. Duncan. Good morning to Devon. Good morning to Mr. Sheldon Scott. Greetings to the HARDTALK family. Yes, Ms. Duncan is some kind of busy today.
Yeah, it is kind of. Yeah, we're hearing you. It is kind of busy.
All the people going and get a $300.
Yep.
And you got to do a little shopping. You pick up from today go back. You know? And Ms. Duncan, what I want to say is I know everybody crying out about road and they crying out about this and that, but I want to let them know that the Prime Minister of Grenada, Carriacou, we cannot do everything at the same time. It takes time. God takes 7 days. You understand?
Yeah.
So have some patience, people. He can't do everything. A man just meet me and question me there for kids. And at the end, it's the government. Nobody didn't bother nobody. Because I just don't like it, Michelle. Everything. I just take all the time. Wait, you're going to get it. The problem with the road again of everything I blame in the poor man. You have a heart, you have a family, you have his mother, you have his son, you have his brothers and sisters. And you want to criticize the man for everything. Under anything, nothing is happening. And things happening now. Have some patience. The roads are going to fix. They cannot fix all the roads at the same time. Please, have some patience.
Yeah.
And in all the government pass, keep Claudius Mitchell government doing the most.
Absolutely.
If the old people in town, this morning when it's $300, they can see the children that they make. India took it a $1, and he make it 300, and he will get more just now.
Yeah.
Have some patience. All you just say, you can't say about the road. We live in here, we know the road bad. And they cannot do all the roads at the same time. I don't get sick with them all, you know. I don't mix the words. And stop that. Stop it and pray.
Yeah.
Pray for the government, the different government. They go to move for the country. I don't like you, that. All you don't like you, you know. Some all you. All you don't say hypocrite people. This one, I didn't want to come on the block and stay with nobody, you know. She will not come and stay with no people, you know. And if you have big party. Right? I been there. They never give me a window. No, a block. They never give me trailer scholarship and our children. They never say me scamming. You always in front with us. And your children. What's going on? They never. Stop it. I think work it. And good morning to Mr. Watt and Zingo and Mr. Watt's wife, Mr. Deputy and his wife and his son, all the Grenadians in America. And here in Canada and Patty. All this dress warm. Because it's cold out there. And Grenada going good. Do not listen to them haters. All these haters that always criticize in the government. All these haters, I have to stop that. Who like me, I don't care. I said that how it is. Have a blessed day, Grenada. And happy holidays to everybody.
All right, you too, Miss Cammy.
You have a blessed day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye. Well, Miss Cammy, I'm sorry you had to experience that this morning. I mean, I don't understand why you would meet somebody and quarrel with them or cuss them about their political views. That's their views. They're entitled to it. And it's funny because you're entitled to the views that you are quarreling about. So why is this other person not entitled to theirs? You know, we have to get away from that place. This war that we have with these parties, it's not benefiting any of us, you know. It's not benefiting any of us. If it's doing anything, it's keeping us back as Grenadians. You know, it's keeping us from thriving as a people. We have to come together in one accord to build Grenada. Every single one of us. Whether you're NNP, you're NDC, you're Catholic, you're Adventist, you're Pentecostal, you're Baptist, regardless of your religion, your race, your creed, whatever political party you choose to support, the fact of the matter is you are a Grenadian, and that trumps everything else. What are we fighting for? What are we fighting for as Grenadians? What do we hope to gain from this war that we are fighting that makes no sense? Well, at least to me it makes no sense. Maybe it makes sense to you, but it didn't make sense to me. What are we hoping to gain? Grenada is a beautiful place. We are a beautiful people. But sometimes we lose focus. We lose sight of our common goal, which I hope is to help Grenada to be stronger, more resilient, sustainable. I'll leave that with you for today. It's always been a pleasure. It's always been a pleasure, and it will continue to be a pleasure being here with you. In whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe, be secure. I want to be talking with you and not about you. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Water.
I love my Grenada, my homeland forever. Sing the chorus louder, tell them about Grenada, the land of my grandfather. She will always prosper. Whoa, my Grenada, land of peace and culture.
Pure Grenada, the small but beautiful and unspoiled tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou and Petite Martinique is located in the Caribbean with a population of just about 100,000 people. Led by Eric Matthew Gary, Grenada got its independence in 1974 from Great Britain and had 7 prime ministers since independence. Keith Mitchell is the country's sitting prime minister and is also the longest-serving prime minister in Grenada's history. He is described as one of the most visionary, respected, and accomplished leaders in the world. The large majority of Grenadians are happy with his leadership, and in 3 national elections, the people have voted and gave his party an unprecedented clean sweep at the polls. Prime Minister Mitchell has guided Grenada through difficult periods such as the rebuilding process after the passage of Hurricane Ivan in 2004, and the rebuilding of the economy after 5 years of the NDC administration that ran 2008 to 2013. During that period, the NDC government became bankrupt and was unable to manage the economy. They had to resort to selling multiple government properties to the NIS to pay salaries of public workers. At no time during that period was any public officer able to get an increase in salary or increments owed to them. The NDC government was plagued with infighting and scandal. After just 2 years in office, the NNP government paid public officers increases and increments owed to them for the period 2009 to 2012 to the tune of $58 million. An additional 10% increase in salaries was paid for the period 2017 to 2019. A total of over $110 million was paid during these periods. Officers have been relieved from financial uncertainty as they have been receiving salaries on time every month thereafter. With support from social partners, government was also able to successfully implement a 3-year homegrown structural adjustment program. As a result of this remarkable leadership and ability to manage the economy, the World Bank in 2018 recognized Prime Minister Mitchell as the most outstanding finance minister in the region. The country continues to move on an impressive upward trajectory and is promoted as a model destination and economy not merely in a regional but international basis, as investors have been finding Grenada to be a safe, peaceful and excellent climate to do business. But how is the NNP government seen locally? The party has been branded by the majority as a party for all that has transformed the economic landscape of the country while providing for the social needs of ordinary people, especially the poor and vulnerable. This social approach of the government has been attacked and labeled by the NDC for the needy and greedy. Although this labeling has angered many Grenadians across party lines and has attempted to sow seeds of discord among various socio-economic groupings, the NNP has remained steadfast in its philosophy and continues to support the poor and vulnerable. Over the last 7 years, over $70 million was spent on house repair. Additionally, 353 housing units were distributed to families throughout Grenada, and 647 more are currently under construction. Hundreds of scholarships are granted every year as a strategy to lift families out of poverty and to empower them. That is why the government spends more than $50 million every year to support Grenadian students studying at universities in Grenada and abroad. As a means of providing further support to families, government paid out over $17 million through the SEED program to assist parents to support their children's education and to meet the basic needs of senior citizens. The government plans to further expand its social programs in 2020 so more people can benefit. To be able to sustain these social programs while at the same time investing in major capital projects such as road enhancement and community development initiatives, government has adopted a multifaceted approach to raise revenue. One such means is the Citizens by Investment program, which has led to significant investment opportunities. This has had a ripple effect, resulting in thousands of jobs for locals and increased business for local companies. It has also reduced the need for increased taxes. In addition to the many projects already started, such as the Silver Sands Hotel, which opened about a year ago, at least 4 more hotels are earmarked to start construction work in St. Patrick's and St. David's. Projects that will rebound to significant benefits for people in the rural parishes, including farmers, fishermen, and the unemployed. This multi-pronged approach to economic development can explain why the government, on returning to the office, has been able to reduce unemployment figures from over 40% under the NDC in 2013 to 15.1% in the first quarter of 2019. Government's focus is now on developing a comprehensive training program to prepare people for thousands of jobs that are forthcoming. The government must be credited for a huge reduction in the national debt. During the 2008 election campaign, the NDC accused the NNP of incurring high national debt, but the NNP has always argued that the debt, which was incurred mainly for major government projects, is not the real issue. The party has explained that the most important issue regarding the national debt is the country's ability to repay its debts. With this philosophy in mind, government was able to successfully reduce the debt to GDP from 108% to 55.8% in just 7 years. This outstanding achievement provides additional room for government to create far more opportunities for the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique. On November 19th, during his annual budget speech, Prime Minister Mitchell announced a $1.46 billion budget. One of the biggest focus of the government in this new budget will be to improve healthcare services. Already, millions have been committed to a national health insurance initiative, and JIPA, a US-based company led by a Grenadian, Dr. Castroned, was contracted to lead the process. Responding to a recent video created by a foreign company, coordinated and marketed by opposition elements in Grenada, with the intention to destroy the reputation of Prime Minister Mitchell and to destabilize the government, key supporters of the ruling party say that it is unfortunate that opposition elements in the country will choose to put selfish ambitions and party politics before country, going out of the way to discredit the country internationally with lies and rumors. But Prime Minister Mitchell says his focus now is on building Grenada and providing opportunities for the people, and as a result, he will not allow himself to be drawn into an opposition's strategy aimed at derailing the success of the country. Despite the local party politics in Grenada, the tri-island state of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petite Martinique continues to be a shining star in the region and a beacon of hope for the economic prosperity of the Caribbean region.
She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock. She love this spice and rock. Give me oh the rock. She wanna spice and rock. Say welcome to the rock.
The following is a statement from the Government of Grenada on diplomatic appointments. The Government of Grenada categorically denies the allegations which were recently made in the media regarding the CBI program, as well as the issuance of diplomatic passports. The government further states that no one has made any campaign contribution in order to be appointed as an ambassador. Neither is there any requirement for individuals to make campaign contributions in order to be considered for an appointment. Citizenship by investment programs are well-established investment programs internationally, which are maintained by many countries, including the US, Canada, and the UK. Grenada's CBI program has been ranked as one of the best-run programs by the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and other financial institutions. There were many unfortunate pronouncements which have led to confusion following a recent well-publicized television documentary, which leaves the erroneous impression that the issuing of diplomatic passports is a natural extension of or in any way related to the CBI program. The two are governed separately and have their own rules for implementation under clear policy guidelines. Furthermore, the government of Grenada has a clear and distinct policy which has been in place and implemented by all administrations since 1974, which governs the appointment of diplomats. That policy is consistent with international norms that have been set out under the Vienna Convention, which governs these matters. In fact, it is important to note that a diplomatic passport does not automatically grant immunity to the holder. The only appointments that are subject to diplomatic immunity according to the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations are officials who are accredited by the receiving state. Ambassadors at large, as per international protocol, while they benefit from certain courtesies, have no diplomatic immunity anywhere since they are not accredited by a receiving state. All persons considered for appointments must A. be of good reputation and proven competence, B. not have any criminal record, C. possess the skills necessary to function in the designated role, and D. submit to rigorous and satisfactory due diligence checks prior to and at any time during the appointments. It is categorically false that diplomatic appointments are for sale and have in any way been bought by non-nationals who currently serve the interests of Grenada overseas. Any attempt to tarnish the name of Grenada and the people of Grenada can be rebutted with facts. Even the Al Jazeera documentary admitted in several instances that they were only making allegations and, by their own admission, stated several times that they could find no facts to substantiate their claims. The government of Grenada reassures the nation that its diplomatic appointments, as well as its CBI program, are conducted with the highest levels of integrity. Hello everyone, welcome to the Government Information Service. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson. In the studio with us, to my immediate left, is Mr. Michael Stephen, the Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Division. And to his left, Mr. Randy Boyk Cadet, he is the Deputy Comptroller. And we're talking about the core function of the IRD, and that's how we'll start our interview today. So I'll start with Mr. Stephen. What exactly is the core function of the IRD?
Thank you, Leslie, and good day to everyone. The Inland Revenue function is primarily to collect inland taxes on behalf of the government of Grenada. And the reason why I say inland taxes is because the other arm of the revenue collection agencies of government is the Customs and Excise Division, which collects taxes on the border. Now, inland revenue is known by certain persons, but there are certain sections of Grenada that has no idea what inland revenue is about. In fact, when they hear about inland revenue, they think about VAT, right? But actually, VAT is not a separate unit by itself. VAT is part of inland revenue. In fact, VAT is one of the major taxes collected by inland revenue, some 36% of total taxes. The other taxes collected are income tax, PAYE, pay as you earn, corporate income tax, annual stamp tax, property tax, and so forth, that persons are probably more familiar with. Another thing we need to think about is that the youths of Grenada basically have no idea what inland revenue is about. And that is why next year, 2020, we have a drive to go into the schools and speak to the young persons to educate them on inland revenue, so that obviously when they go home, they'll speak to their parents about it and ensure that, compliance is elevated nationwide. So essentially, as I said, the IRD's function is to collect taxes inland, and they would have said what these taxes are.
Right, the school visits. You have a time frame in mind when this is going to start? Is it the first quarter of next year, the second quarter? When are we going to start this?
Well, actually, we want to start early. So in the first quarter of the year, we are definitely going to hit all the schools. I will send all the officers. I may go to a few of them, and they will speak to the students in the nation and educate them.
Right, so before I go to Mr. Boyk, what are some of the main issues that you think you'll need to bring out to these young people, just so they understand? And of course, as you mentioned, when they take the message back to their parents, there will be that level of compliance that we're looking for. Well, Mr. Boyk, you can take that.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. Compliance is a big thing, a big deal for us at Inland Revenue, and we have a common thread that usually, a motto, a theme. We said that the more educated the taxpayer is, the more compliant the taxpayer will be. And we believe that for us to strive as a nation, we have to change the tax morale of the people. We have to change the tax culture of the people. So going to the schools is one of the things that we saw fit in. Build the image, build the morale of the tax public by the schools, so that ultimately they can take the message back home to their parents.
Great. Mr. Boyk, I'll stay with you still. What does compliance mean in the context of the IRD?
I smile at that because, as you may be aware, the nation may be aware too, we are currently going through what we like to call a transformational journey, where we are moving away from revenue to compliance. So compliance is a big deal for us. When we speak about compliance, there are 4 pillars. We speak about registration. All the taxpayers who are operating within Grenada, or businesses, individuals who are eligible and liable to pay taxes, you are expected to be registered. Secondly, we talk about filing. That's a particular compliance type that we have to promote more. So we want to see more persons file, and later on we'll discuss the reasons why people need to file. We also look at payment as a 3rd pillar of our compliance, and the 4th pillar is reporting. Declaring and putting on paper that which is supposed to be declared truthfully. So those are the 4 pillars of compliance. Just to repeat them: registration, filing, payment, and reporting. So
it is important, of course, to file.
Yes. In the past, most persons, I'm here today that, I'm paying my taxes, so why should I file? But filing is also a requirement by law. And it helps Inland Revenue to verify that which was paid on your behalf. In cases some persons have been overpaid, there are some cases where persons have been underpaid. When you file, you actually declare that this is what was supposed to be paid on my behalf. And filing also gives you the opportunity to claim back a refund. So we really want to promote and speak loudly on the whole importance of filing. We want to move away from just the revenue, and focus on the 4 pillars of compliance.
Right. What are some of the strategies used by the IRD to improve compliance?
This is a good question. The nation needs to appreciate that Inland Revenue right now is in the process of encouraging persons to comply. We are not only focusing on forcing compliance. So there are 2 main types. You can force compliance or you can encourage compliance. So there are a lot of softer methods of tax administration that we employ. So, for example, simple calling of taxpayers to give them reminders, that's something that we do, and we will continue to do that in 2020. Sending reminders, we send press releases every year, reminding persons about their due dates for a particular month. We make phone calls, we send text messages, we interact more with the taxpayer. In fact, we pride ourselves, and the common thread of Inland Revenue is to let taxpayers know that, hey, there is also a softer side of what we do, the more intimate side. So to set up payment arrangement, we want to hear from you. We meet you halfway. These are some of the softer methods that we use in promoting our compliance. And of course, if you fail to relate to us on that softer level, we'll have to use what is the last resort, the heavier methods, where we force you to comply by using some of the methods, that is captured in the Tax Haven Act, for example, seizure, liens, garnishment, etc. So we have two main focus, the softer side to begin with, and if all goes well, if you fail to comply with the softer side, we have to strengthen our approach. I want to say here too that when we speak about compliance, we look at the education. Because as I said before, we believe firmly that the more educated the taxpayer is, the more compliant they will be. We look at service delivery. So throughout the office, officers appreciate and they know that they have to give the Grenadians proper service to help build the confidence in the people. And the last part is enforcement. So it's education, it's service delivery, and it's enforcement.
All right. In terms of how much time usually would one have, or let me put it this way, there's a process by which you would know that you have a certain amount of time to register, to file, to pay, to report, in other words, to comply. What is the process for this so that somebody understands exactly what is expected of them within a certain time frame?
And that question requires a whole new interview, but nonetheless, let's look at the registration process. You operate in business. Within 30 days, you have to notify the comptroller that you're operating and you come in and register. In fact, the comptroller also has the power to force register you. So what we will do is send our officers out to look for businesses, encourage you to come in. If you don't come in, then we will register you. For filing, for VAT, for example, because as the comptroller said, is one of the most important tax types that we have, you have 20 days after the end of the month to file and pay. For payment, let's assume income tax. This one is most of Grenadians have to pay income tax within 90 days at the end of the fiscal year. So let's assume that the fiscal year runs from January to December. You have 90 days. Sometimes it's March 31st, sometimes it's March 30th, to which you just submit or remit payment. We also have PAYE, where every month the employer is expected to remit from you or take from you or remit to the government. I think it's seven days after the end of the month to submit the same. So different compliance pillar has different due dates. And as I said, maybe in 2020 we'll have to go through our entire public education and look at each compliance pillar individually so a person could understand more what's supposed to happen.
Right. Mr. Stephen, what are the various types of tax types that the IRD will be focusing on to improve its compliance?
Well, actually, the entire gamut of taxes we are going to be focusing on. In fact, we're not going to zero in any tax in particular. Because as I said, the PAYE and the corporate income tax, the annual stamp tax, the VAT are important taxes, but also property tax and property transfer tax and other tax. And there are some licenses as well that we didn't mention, motor vehicle license, driver's license, and so forth. Mm-hmm. And we are going to be focusing on all those tax types because persons don't generally like to pay tax, right? And as Randy would have said, there are two types of enforcement, the forced and the voluntary. I prefer to focus on the voluntary because what you need to do is put structures in place so that whoever is comptroller, myself, Randy, whoever comes on stream sometime in the future, will be able to maintain a certain compliance level in the country, right? Years ago, the major method was forced compliance. Where you go after persons aggressively all the time to collect the revenues. But there's a school of thought nowadays, most recently. In fact, we were speaking to a very well-known international consultant, and he was saying that once compliance is properly implemented in a tax revenue administration system, the taxes will flow, right? Because persons will be aware of what the obligations are, and they will comply. They will register on time, they will file, and they will pay on time. And because there are certain measures in the Tax Administration Act, for late payments, you will have penalties, interest, and so forth. Persons will tend not to want to be in a situation like that. Where they have to pay, in addition to the tax, they have to pay penalties and interest. So in that way, you are encouraging voluntary compliance. Some might say by force, because some are saying that the rates are rather high. For example, the penalty for non-payment is some 20%. That is high, yes, but if you pay on time, you won't have to pay a penalty.
Of course.
Right? And even the interest rate for non-payment, 1.5% compounded per month, right? That is high. But if you pay on time, you don't get yourself in the situation where you have to pay interest on your tax obligations. You don't have to worry about that. In fact, there are other avenues open to the taxpaying public, right? If you have a situation where you cannot pay on time, right? The law has provisions that you can apply to the comptroller for an extension to pay or file, right? And once you do that, you can give yourself some more space to come up with the payments and the filing, right? So there are a lot of mechanisms built into the tax laws that actually benefits taxpayers, but for some reason, some persons tend to ignore these things, and they allow their taxes to build up over time, and then they will apply for waivers and so forth. And a waiver is not guaranteed. I mean, just because you have penalties and interest that are 3 times more than your tax doesn't mean that we are going to waive it, because why did you get yourself in that situation in the first place?
Okay.
Right? But still, you can still write to the Inland Revenue, Minister of Finance, Comptroller, and ask for consideration of a waiver. And based on what your situation is, you may be given some type of relief in that sense. But as I said, we don't want to focus any one particular type of tax. We focus on all, although there are some taxes that have very low compliance,
right?
Like the annual stamp tax, for example, which we realized had a very low compliance rate. So we implemented some structures to try and elevate that level. But essentially, we focus on all the areas, and those that require more effort than others, we tend to give them a bit more push, right? So. Basically, that's it.
But why was there a low compliance rate for the annual stamp tax, Mr. Boy?
Well, the reason is many. What we see happening, filing has never been a main thrust of Inland Revenue over the years. It's focused a lot on payment. So now we want to focus a lot on filing.
Okay.
And just to add to what the comptroller said, most of the taxes that we administer are self-assessed. So the taxpayers declare that I am supposed to pay X.
Right.
And by declaring that, we expect you to pay X. In failing to file or failing to declare, that we do what is called a best of judgment, where we do our own assessment. But we don't assess taxes. The only one that we assess is property tax. But most of the taxes come directly from the individuals as a self-assessed system that we operate within Inland Revenue.
All right, I want to stay with you still, Mr. Boy. Something Mr. Stephen would have mentioned. If you can't pay on time, you could always write to the Minister of Finance and all that. So in the event that you can work something out, how much time will you be given in that case? Because if you've already passed the deadline, how much if you got grace period would you be now given?
Well, I want to focus on the payment arrangement. You have a difficulty in paying, you can come into the collection arm of Inland Revenue and set up with the collection officers a payment arrangement. And we do it on a case-by-case basis. Okay. Based on your need, we do what is called an ability to pay assessment. So we assess you, we actually declare all the income, all the expenditure, and we hear you. And based on your circumstance, we put you on a relatively realistic arrangement to suit your circumstance.
All right, so I need to ask, because you mentioned that there's the forced and the other one is voluntary and forced, right? In the event that it has to be forced, what is the procedure now still to ensure some sort of a fairness is the word I can use there on the person, although they would have faulted, but still, what is the procedure just to make sure that the government is not too hard and fast on them still? What can be done, even though you're applying now the forced procedure?
I think I started.
Well, I mean, I could start and you can
go
continue.
ahead.
Well, I mean, the person, once they find themselves in such a situation, I mean, obviously they were right, because we prefer putting things down in black and white.
Yeah.
You know, you write and you say why you are in this situation, right? And then we will assess your situation to determine whether what you are saying is indeed correct.
Okay.
All right? Because once you arrive at a situation where you have to force a taxpayer to pay their taxes, that's basically the last resort.
Yeah.
Right? We tend not to want to do these things, right? So I mean, for example, we can, you know, the comptroller has the power under law in the Tax Admin Act, because nothing that we do in inland revenue is by the seat of our pants. Everything is governed by tax laws, right, that were passed in Parliament, right? So we can, the comptroller can, you know, prevent items from being cleared at the port, for example, right? The goods of a taxpayer, right? We can you know, put restrictions on registering deeds in the Supreme Court registry, you know, and you know, those are some of the harsh things that we can do. I mean, some person might say, well, you know, you're shutting down a man's business, right? But you know, how did we arrive at this position, right? It's because you would have been calling the person, you would have been engaging them in meetings over a long period of time, you know, and you know, those things did not satisfy the requirements that we wanted them to satisfy, right? And in such instances, most of these taxpayers would have built up a large amount of tax debt to the government of Grenada. In fact, if you look at the VAT, for example, right? VAT is a tax that is collected on behalf of the government of Grenada, right? The tax-paying public will purchase your goods, right? They pay 15% VAT on it, and that VAT, the business pays just collecting the VAT to pass it on to the government, right? You're not, and in 20 days after the end of the month. So there is an expectation. If you don't do that, then essentially you are stealing from the population. You're stealing from government, you're stealing from your customers, right? And that is a serious thing to consider. So, I mean, we tend not to want to, you know, carry out these levels of enforcement on businesses, because we understand, you know, businesses have employees have families, you know, they have to provide for their families, and that is important. So anytime we arrive at a situation where we have to implement these measures, right, as to hold up, you know, your goods from clearance, you know, prevent other things from happening where your business is concerned, is because that is the last resort, right? And we must know, for example, that you have some way of paying these taxes, but in our view, you know, you don't want to do it. I mean, so you know, that is some of the reasons, you know, why we'll tend to want to take the harsh approach, right? Because we don't have a choice, because we'd have explored all the other options, you know, the meetings, the exchange of letters, you know, promises, give them, you know, time to come up with the necessary finances, and those things, you know, fell through the cracks. So, you know, we have to, you know, the comptroller has to carry out his function as, which is to collect taxes on behalf of the government of Grenada. Because why do you collect taxes? You collect taxes in order to provide public goods to the population. You know, the free healthcare system and all the secondary schools and so forth and other things. You know, so you know, we need to collect the taxes, and the comptroller has the responsibility to do that. And if the ordinary compliance method does not work, then you have to force, right? So, yeah.
So that is the last resort.
Yeah.
Mr. Boyd, you want to add anything to that?
There's nothing much to add. The comptroller would have answered, you know, sufficiently well. I just want to say, you know, that we are in the business of administering taxes. We're not in the business of shutting down businesses.
Definitely. All right, gentlemen, is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, I mean, I would just like to encourage the tax-paying public to ensure that whatever taxes you have to pay to the Inland Revenue Division or to Customs, that you ensure it is done and done on time. All right. Once you do that, then you will not be in a situation where you have to pay penalties or interest on your tax payments. And I mean, you know what the taxes are being collected for, as I said before, is in the public interest to provide public goods to the population. You know, if you have concerns with that, well then, you know, there are avenues to express your concerns, right? But I do encourage the general public to, you know, do ensure that the taxes are paid on time. The property tax, for example, you know, because it is what it is, persons may tend to not want to pay it when they should, but in fact you have almost the entire year to pay property tax, up until the end of August actually. So you know, persons should ensure that they carry out their national duties. I would like to put it.
Mr. Boyd?
Yeah, I just want to say in closing, with rights come responsibilities, and it's a partnership. We know what we expect you to do in Inland Revenue, and we expect you to do what you're supposed to do. And where you can, we want to encourage you and educate you so that you know, we can bridge the gap between non-compliance and compliance. Just want to let the nation know that very soon the demand notices will be out, so most likely in January. Please collect your demand notices from the post office and the post boxes, etc.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're most welcome. Okay, so we've been speaking with Mr. Michael Stephen. He's to my immediate left, Comptroller of the Inland Revenue Division, and to his left, Mr. Randy Boyk Cadet, the Deputy Comptroller, and of course talking about the core function of the IRD. I'm Leslie Ann Johnson. Thank you so much for viewing.
Significant progress 3.5 months after the sword was turned, signaling the commencement of work on the Government of Grenada and the OPEC Fund for International Development St. Patrick Road Upgrade Project. The St. Patrick Project is part of 24 other projects that were approved by Cabinet in April 2019. The construction of culverts, drains, retaining walls and concrete reinforced sidewalks has been awarded to Caribbean Consolidated Contractors Limited (CCC). On Monday, CCC Site Superintendent Joseph Maitland updated GIS on the progress of work at Belmont, Callaloo, The Wharf and Gru Bailey Hill. Our first stop was at the site in Belmont, where a massive 100-meter-long retaining wall is under construction.
This is the beginning of the Sotes Hermitage Rehabilitation Project. All right? We are tackling all the major aspect of the work, which will include like all the major structure of retaining wall, box culvert, and all the major cuts in terms of expansion of road widening. All right, here we are now in Belmont. Well, this is one of our major retaining structure in Belmont. It's almost 100 meters long. All right, we started this on the 16th of last month. Right now we are 45% in completion. Okay, we have a numerous around 65 people working on the project, which includes like foreman, masons, carpenters, but basically all of them are Grenadians. Mostly the whole project is spearheaded by the engineer and the project manager, who is expatriate. But the majority aspect of everybody working here are totally Grenadians.
On completion of the construction of the retaining wall, the following scope of works will have to be carried out.
All right, the next step, as you see, it's the retaining wall basically responsible for the expansion of road widening. We are doing road widening here. What you realize, you see the height of the wall. So after this wall is completed, we have to backfill this wall in layers by layers. Make sure it's within the requirement of the specs, because we have to do it layer by layer compaction and bring it up to the elevation which is given for the road level. There is a specific elevation for the road level which is responsible. So when we finish construct this wall, we will backfill it right up and to the elevation of the road, and then we take it from there.
How much foot stemming and the stem at the bottom is how thick? How?
It's 40. All right, and it's reached up to, I think, 30 to the top. All right, basically the stem is wider, but as the walls goes down, he has a structure where he comes back up to the top at 30 centimeters.
Civil technician at WI Consults, Christian DeBellet, was on site and says thus far all the construction work are being done to specification.
On the project, we are responsible for design and supervision. So essentially, we did these essential designs, everything, and now we're supervising to ensure that it's done to that standard.
In terms of the design and so, is it that you all had to do was testing part of your all work? And tell us about your design and specification as to what has to happen here in order for it to be passed.
Well, testing was done initially and there's continuous testing throughout. For example, the concrete is tested, the sub-base, sub-grade, everything is tested to meet requirements. If not, you fail and have to do it over.
One of the hindrances to the smooth execution of the project, Mr. Matlin says, is the electricity pole that is yet to be relocated by Grenlec.
You see, but everything had to coordinate it because, you know, there is public utilities who's supposed to be working along with us, like Grenlec, Nawasa. So far, Nawasa is 100% in cooperation with us. Whenever you have a problem, we just inform them and they are here. But Grenlec has came. They had already identified all the poles that's supposed to remove. You notice there is one at the location at Belmont, which is right in the excavation part of the job. And as far as you go, you will notice that there are several poles that is within that. In order to commence the work to the pace we want to go, all these poles had to be relocated.
Our next stop was at an area in Hermitage referred to as the Callaloo, where excavation work on a retaining wall and the box culvert is presently being carried out by Fare Construction Company.
We are commencing our second major retaining wall. All right, it's a distance of 65 meters long. All right, what you are seeing here right now is that to commence the work, to finish it at the required time, what we did is that we have a few local subcontractors. And in this aspect of this job here, Fare Construction is doing this retaining wall. All right, the base is 3.8 meters wide. That's the base of the wall. But then the same format is just like the one down at Belmont. The stem will be 40 and it rises up to. But the height of this one is 5 meters. All right. What you are seeing here right now is that we are preparing the excavation. The company, we are doing the excavation, preparing, and then they do the blinding. When they blind, that is for the formation to place in the steel. You must have to stabilize the ground first, compact it, stabilize it, blast the rock, whatever is required, make sure it's stabilized. The inspector from WI will come and inspect to see it is required, what we are looking for, and then we start the formwork. So what you are doing basically right now is excavating and preparing for the base formation. So this is where you will find that the river been doing some tremendous hazard around this area. The existing before this area normally overflow all the time. All around, the water overflow the banks and it flood the area. What we are doing here now, we are reconstructing a new massive box culvert. All right, we is in the initial stage. We did the blinding, and right now we are doing the formation of the steelwork. All right, this is also being subbed to Fare Construction. All right, the length of it is 8.2 of the box culvert. The width is 8.6. It varies to a height about 2.7 height. So that would be able to adequate the flow of the water. At least it would facilitate all the overflow of the water. So what you see we are doing here now is that we did a diversion, which we are standing here right now, so we could accommodate the construction in terms of the box culvert. All right, when we complete the box culvert, then we will prepare the whole area back to the normal way how it was. So right now, this is one of our major box culvert. We has 2 more to build, but this is the first one. It's just in initial stage. Let me say about 20%, 25%.
The team then moved to another area in Hermitage called the Wharf, where road expansion works is ongoing on 2 retaining walls that has been subcontracted to Bullins Construction Company, one 25.5 meters long and 3 meters high, and the other 26.5 meters. Foreman on the project is Randy Wilkinson.
We have about 12 guys working with us, and the project is going quite fine. Everybody hold their corner, everybody do what they gotta do, under good supervision.
Any challenges experienced in terms?
Based on the water experience, we have a little challenge. We'll fix it.
Apart from, the inclement weather that we've been experiencing and the water and so on, do you think that you're well on your way in terms of meeting your target?
Yes, we do. We work night and day to get things done. So we are on our target. I think we are on our target.
Thank you.
What we are doing here is that we are doing some road expansion. They had some slide movement existing before with a guardrail where it was very hazard for the traffic. So we are doing some road expansion. We're shifting the alignment of the road to the right-hand side. In the process of doing that, commencing that work, as I told you before, we are tackling all the major construction part in terms of all the massive work we're supposed to do. So this is another retaining wall, and this wall is sub out to Mr. Bullen, another subcontractor who is doing this work. Right now, at the stage of this work, it is about 25%. Excavation has done, blinding has poured, and we're getting ready for the steel formation. So far, this is the aspect of this work here.
A massive box culvert is also under construction, and unlike the retaining walls project, the construction of the box culvert, Mr. Maitland says, has been retained by his company, Consolidated Contractors Company Limited.
This box culvert normally has to facilitate because there was overflow of water throughout the existing period before. So we're tackling this box culvert down there is done by our personnel, CCC personnel. We have not subbed up this one. The foreman is a guy by the name of Peter Lawrence, who normally works with the company. He's been working with the company for throughout the years. And he's qualified in doing that because throughout the different projects, he normally do this part of the construction. So he has locals with him who is doing the construction. And the dimension of that bridge is like 8.4 plus 8.2 in terms of width and height. It will facilitate a sidewalk plus a head wall in all the aspect of the box culvert. This box culvert, however, over there is about 85% in completion. What we are doing now is just preparation for the decking slab. We did all the blinding, all the replacement, all the abutment walls, all the base. So what we are doing now is just the covered decking slab for the finishing of the box culvert.
On completion of the retaining walls, aggregates that has been tested from the excavation of the embankments at Carriacou Bailey Hill will be used to backfill.
After the completion of this wall, we will do our basic backfilling layers. If you notice alongside the road, the material we cut from Carriacou Bailey Hill, we are utilizing. When it has been tested, it falls within the specs of the contract, because the contract have a specification required for the job. So the aggregate has been tested. It is suitable for sub-base, sub-grade material. So we are utilizing all these material to backfill the retaining wall. That way you notice you will see a whole pile of material on the left-hand side of the road. What you will also see is that we have some telephone poles also to remove in this area. We need it kind of a speedy to be done. If we could get, the faster we do it, then we'll start handling our drainage work. If you notice, the project would have to start from the back, come up to the front. So we will have to start the drainage work. If you notice, there is no drainage work starting yet because of how we're tackling the job. When we put in all the major construction wall, all the box culvert, the drainage will be just easy to go through. All right? So, and I would reiterate again, they have no much expatriate here. There's only the project engineer, project manager, the project engineer, and that's it. And the majority of people is based on Grenadians who did this job.
CCC's site superintendent says once the electricity poles are removed, the project will progress at a faster pace, making it much more convenient for motorists and pedestrians to traverse. I am Sharia Noel.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
The government of Grenada is making good on its commitment to reconstruct the Simon Cultural Centre in St. Andrew. With Phase 1 complete that saw the demolition of the existing pavilion, work is now far advanced on Phase 2 of the project, which scope of works includes fencing of the perimeter at a contracted cost of $200,000. Our State of Affairs team accompanied Honourable Kate Lewis, Member of Parliament for the constituency of St. Andrew North East, on a tour of the project. The reconstruction of the facility, she says, is important not only for her constituents, but the entire country, as major cultural events were held at the venue prior to its destruction by the passage of Hurricane Ivan on September 7, 2004. Minister Lewis outlined the scope of works already undertaken and highlighted the fact that already a number of young men from the area have gained employment from Phase 1 and 2 of the project.
And what we are seeing here is actually the second phase of the Simon Cultural Centre project. Last year we did the first phase, which was the demolition of the old structure. So in the second phase, the fencing of the grounds for the cultural center. It is important that we fence before we start the construction because we need to protect the materials and everything else that will be there. So what you are seeing happening now is the preparation for the actual fencing. So you'll see some of the holes been dug and the poles been planted or so. But this is the second phase. So far, the contract has already been signed and the work is taking place. The contractor is on scene with some of the workers here. We expect to have, throughout the whole project, over 20-30 persons involved on a rotation basis employed in the fencing phase of this project. The estimated cost of this project is almost $200,000. We had budgeted over $300,000, but based on the work that has to be done, it's over $200,000.
Due to the number of years that the site has been left unattended, community members have used it for their personal interest. One such interest is that of a mechanic. While this is so, Minister Lewis says dialogue has already been had with the individual, who has since given the commitment to remove the derelict vehicles from the site well in advance of Phase 3 of the project.
Yes, because the area seemed to be abandoned for quite some time, we have a mechanic set up here where he usually would do his mechanic work. But what has happened, we have already spoken to him. He's cooperating very well and has planned and is prepared to move the vehicles as soon as we are ready.
The Simon Cultural Centre will be upgraded from what it was initially to a more modern facility with a number of added amenities.
The Simon Cultural Centre will mean a lot for us in the community of Paradise and Simon. We have seen, myself growing up in this community, the economic benefits that the Cultural Centre brought to the residents of this area, being able to generate an income with the amount of shows, the cultural activities that would normally take place here. So I know everybody is happy, even at the national level, because it signifies, the interest and the importance of culture to us as a people. And I'm happy that, we are well on the way to bring back our Simon Cultural Centre. We are going to be doing a modern structure, a climate smart building, catering for the needs of everyone. Of course, we want to maintain the traditional aspect of it, where we had the pavilion setting. We're going to have that again. We will have downstairs a pavilion, office spaces where we can have skills training for our young people within the surrounding areas. Well, the intention of this project is to bring back the the Melody Papitet semi-finals back to Simon, where it really belongs. Everybody used to look forward to that Sunday, that Carnival Sunday, where you had the Melody Papitet semi-finals, and I myself looked forward to it then, and will be doing so now.
Phase 2 of the project has been contracted out to Kurt Rennie. He spoke to the scope of work already carried out and the importance of the project to the people of the community.
The project has started this week, making it 3 weeks.
right? And so far we are in the phase of casting the poles. We already dig the hole, dig the trench, and right now we're in the casting phase of the poles.
How many men do you have with you to execute this job?
At present, we'll be working on rotation, We'll try to do it in phase. So in this phase, we have at least 8 men, and the next phase after, which is pulling up the fence, we'll hire a different set. So in all, it might come to about 40 workers. The perimeter is 1,700 feet, which will be included barbed wire, the casting, the footing, and fencing. So that's basically it.
Are you the ones who directing the gates at the front as well?
Basically, the project manager, he determines where the gates go, and we establish it.
I'm also seeing some excavation on the sides for the roadway and so.
Basically, the roadway is access to the people in the village in the back. So they give them one entrance on this end and then the next one on the end, which is accessible for them.
To ensure that residents are not affected in any way by the ongoing construction, 2 access roads have been opened.
Usually the residents would pass through the Simon Cultural Center area to get to their homes. But we did not want to disadvantage, and as a result of that, two new roads have been worked on presently, as you can see, so that they can gain access, one at the front and one at the back. So they have 2 roads in which they can use to access their homes. The residents are extremely happy because they know what the Simon Cultural Center could do for them in terms of, the economic benefits they will receive. They are actually excited and cannot wait for the project to really come on stream and be completed.
One resident spoke of the importance of the project.
I feel good about that. It's good to have the community center in Simon. To build the place, Simon need to develop. You need to have more activities going on in Grenada and more.
The draft plan of what the Simon Cultural Center and its environment will look like on completion will be unveiled to the community ahead of commencement of work on Phase 3 of the project. And that's the state of affairs. I am Sherry Noel. If you think safety rules are a pain, try having an accident. Drive safely. A message from the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
The government of Grenada remains committed to its promise of upgrading playing fields across the state. One such playing field where work is in progress is that of the La Poterie playing field, which began back in September 2017 at an estimated cost of $2 million EC. The first phase of the project involved excavation work that included leveling of the playing field, strengthening the embankment with boulders, and cutting drains. The second phase now underway is showing significant progress, with a well-grassed playing field, the construction of the retaining wall, and the bleachers that are almost finished. Former Member of Parliament for St. Andrew North East, Roland Bowler, was one of the initiators of this significant project, which will serve the residents of the community and neighbouring villages. State of Affairs recently accompanied the former MP along with the current Member for Parliament, Honourable Kate Lewis, on a site visit to the project.
I spoke the last time on the project here. I remember telling you that the project was organized in 2 phases. The first phase had to do with ensuring that we get all the earthworks done, level the field and plant the grass. Now that phase is, I'd say 98% complete. There's still some little areas as the time goes by that is settling, so you need to put a wheelbarrow to a dirt and to get it properly leveled. We are deep into the second phase. As you would see from the shots you took, we have done a lot of the concrete work so far, and we are almost completing the bleachers now. There will be 8 bleachers. They are 164 feet in length, each of them, and we calculate that we can take 500 people seated there easily. When that is finished, there's another bit of wall to do towards the far end, the northern end, and then we want to do some fencing of the field and the perimeter drains, and then we could call ourselves complete.
The project, he says, encountered some setbacks due to the unpredictable weather patterns experienced over the last year. He says a new completion date has been projected for the second phase.
And that keeps changing from time to time, as you mentioned, the weather. So, for example, a month and a half ago, we had a lot of heavy downpour rain, and several working days was lost as a result, because there's still, while they're doing concrete, there's still a level of earthwork that has to take place in terms of trenching and doing steel work in the drains. And when it rains a lot, then the workmen cannot perform. So that has been creating a bit of a problem for us. We're looking seriously at probably the first quarter in 2020.
The upgrade of the Leproche playing field, he says, has generated employment on a rotation basis for a number of young men within the community and neighboring villages.
Well, all who are on the job are local. The contractor is local. The workers are all local from the village or neighboring village. There's one gentleman there from Tivoli and so. And what has been happening with the unskilled men in particular, the contractor has been rotating. So guys will get and they've been paid weekly. So after 6 or 8 weeks work, he would let them go home and take on some new ones. So if you speak to most of the young guys who are around that are not permanently employed, they will tell you, well, I had 2 bites already, or I'm looking for my 3rd one, or I'm looking for my 2nd one. So they're trying as much as possible to share the task among people in the village. So within that and the concrete works done already, it's $1 million+. But I can get the final figures. Why I don't have the exact thing, the way it is being done and funded by the Lotto, they did indicate that they're prepared to do the project in its entirety. However, though, it's dependent on the flow of money. So they have indicated that when they do some work, if the funding is not readily available, we may have to stop, and then when they have funding again. Thus far, things have run, really good. There had been no reason to stop yet. Because, again, I think the weather pattern, and there are times when for a week or 2 there's no work, so it gave them a chance. I'll get the total that has been expended thus far, and I can pass that.
Mason on the project, Kenroy Harry and foreman Delroy Nelson, both of whom are from the Leproche community, spoke to the importance of the upgrade to the playing field and its environs. Both men told State of Affairs that the project is indeed a welcome one by people of the community.
Yeah, I've been going forward 4 to 5 months now on it, and I find it's a good thing for the community because people come watching it. They like the way it turn out, everything. They just want to know when it go be finished, so they should hold some tournament in the park. So far, community-wise, I think it is a good thing for the community to help guys come together. They could spend a little time in the park, have a better facility. You could see them and watch the game, everything what's going on. Well, yeah, time it been ups and downs with the weather, with getting the dust, to being on the project. Yeah, time. You go easy when the weather hold up, much easier than when rain fall. Rain fall may take a little time.
Do you have in the back of your head an idea as to when you all would finish that aspect?
It's based on the weather, but we're looking to finish sometime early next month with the bleachers.
To the end of the I'm really happy because at the end of the day, we all need it. Bring everybody together. My son he could come play in the park, enjoy himself, and find that's the best move we ever make.
So prior to this, where would the children, I know it was sort of a slope, but where would the children really go to play?
Well, they have the children playground on top side, across there, and it's sweating in the park, kicking ball in the park.
And what's the sentiments you hear from, people around?
Well, everybody like to see it. No complaints so far. Majority of people pass here and they like the project going on. And can't complain for myself.
Honorable Kate Lewis was very impressed with the progress of the project and reiterated that her government remains committed to seeing the project completed. Phase 3 of the project will include fencing of the perimeter and an upgrade to the existing community center. I am Sherry Ann Noel, and that's the State of Affairs.
Residents affected by broken road in Molineux may have to face a relocation. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. With the details to the news for Thursday, December 12th, I am Rakisha St. Louis. Infrastructure Development Minister Honorable Gregory Bowen says residents in close proximity to the broken road in Molineux will have to relocate as intervention is urgently required to address the land slippage in that area. Traffic will be diverted in the area effective Friday, December 13th to facilitate geotechnical and engineering studies and design work on the road section between Mount Morris Junction and Molineux. Speaking with the Government Information Service on site on Thursday, Minister Bowen said the situation is a community national disaster issue and not simply a road problem.
Some of the people here must move. They may take the chance and say, I don't want to move. You may find a solution. But the solution may be sinking plane or just getting off the topsoil. The solution to this may be the relocation of all the houses and getting down to the plane where you have solid rock. But a road cannot stay at this time. We may have to relocate the road. So it's a big problem that we recognized a long time ago.
Working with the Traffic Department of the Royal Grenada Police Force, the Ministry of Infrastructure Development, Public Utilities, Energy, Transport and Implementation says effective Friday, 13th December from 7 a.m., heavy trucks will not be allowed to use the Western Main Road. All heavy trucks and trailers are advised to use the Eastern Main Road and other alternative routes. Effective Monday, 16th December, from 7 a.m., all other vehicles are advised to use the Mount Morris Concrete Road to facilitate the traffic coming from St. John, St. Mark and St. Patrick towards St. George, and Jones Road to facilitate the traffic coming from St. George towards the western side.
We will be closing the road from Monday. I think you have looked at the bypasses. The police gave detailed information on the roads that we'll use so that we can get a one-way traffic, right? And the only two-way traffic will be from the main road a little lower down going up to Mount Morris. That's the only place we'll have two-way traffic, maybe 400 feet or something like that. But the rest to going around there will be one-way. Obviously, you may find a vehicle coming from you in the next direction, but that will most likely be a homeowner who is living in the particular area. So I want to take the opportunity now to thank in advance the homeowners, because it is a residential area and you will have a significant amount of traffic, going there. So we hope that within a couple of months, we'll have a detailed design on how to solve this. And that detailed design maybe remove the road, remove the building, do plates, sheets, and you have piles and so. Could be sheet piles that you go down to stop the plane from shifting. But we'll wait on them to see exactly what the solution will be. And even if we could fix this road, I say again, some ask, why don't you go and cover on the side? Now you see these tires? That you might call is an innovative way of preventing the slip lane from the top. But if you remove it, that doesn't mean that the slip lane would not continue below here or would not continue from the top. That's what the geotechnical study will tell us from where the slippage is starting and how we can find a solution to this.
Minister Bowen says when former UK Prime Minister David Cameron visited the region a few years ago, Grenada received $28 million and the grant was distributed in two main areas, to Nawassa and to address slips on the Western Main Road.
So part of that project, $16 million project, is to do the geotechnical studies for this area and other areas along the Western Main Road. You do not simply come and change the road or say you're repairing the road. This is not a normal road where you have good solid foundation. We recognize that you have problems and slips in these areas. And that is why the consultants have already been shortlisted even before we close the road. We have been monitoring and we realize that the deterioration rate has increased. So therefore we close the road for the safety of the motorists as well as the residents in the area.
The minister commended residents in the area who engaged an engineering firm to advise on the best course of action, but he says the firm the government is hiring will be of international standard. The Royal Grenada Police Force says strict penalties will be enforced on drivers who fail the soon-to-be-implemented breathalyzer test. The RGPF is optimistic that the rollout of the test will deter drivers from excessively consuming alcohol while driving and so will introduce a culture of safe road use. Head of the Traffic Department Superintendent Randy Connaught says in 2017, amendments were made to the road traffic legislation to add breathalyzer testing. Under the legislation, the limit stated is 70 micrograms of alcohol to 100 milliliters of breath and 160 micrograms of alcohol to 100 milliliter of blood. He says the law gives officers the right to test a driver upon reasonable cause of suspicion and also arrest the driver without a warrant.
Section 62B, subsection 1 of the Act states, where a member of the police force has reasonable cause to suspect that A person driving or attempting to drive or in charge of a motor vehicle on the road has alcohol in his or her breath or blood exceeding the prescribed limit. And the limit we speak of, in the case of alcohol breath, it is 70 micrograms of alcohol in 100 milliliters of breath. And in the case of blood, 160 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood, or any portion as may be prescribed by regulation. So the regulation is subject to change over time.
Any driver who fails the test can be charged before a magistrate and receive a maximum charge of $10,000 and 2 years imprisonment.
Upon first conviction, the individual can be fined up to $5,000 or imprisonment up to 12 months. And in the case of a second or subsequent offenses, up to $10,000 or 2 years in prison. I hope that resonates well within the minds of the general public. It is supposed to be a deterrent first and foremost, but the consequences are very grave, and I want us to take cognizance of this.
The breathalyzer test will be officially introduced before the end of this month. This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Did you join the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985, and have since retired? This might be important to you. Government understands that the NIS pension may be insufficient to take care of your needs. So, while it awaits the court's ruling on the matter of pension for public officers, government has taken action to protect your quality of life so that you can take care of your needs in the meantime. Persons who joined the public service on or after February 22nd, 1985, and serve continuously in an established position for a minimum 26 years and 8 months, and retired at age 60, may be eligible to receive an advance payment, which when combined with NIS, represents 70% of their last salary. For more information, call or visit the Pension Secretariat in the Department of Public Administration, Ministerial Complex, 440-3767.
Welcome back. 25 officers are now trained and certified to conduct the breathalyzer test throughout Grenada. The equipment, which is part of a US $45,000 grant from the St. George's University, will be placed at 10 of the 15 police stations along with trained officers to operate it. Training was conducted in March 2019 by Rose International, a Trinidad-based company.
Okay, we have a total of 25 police officers across the island receiving training. Out of the 25, there are 10 persons trained for on the units that will be operated at the police station. So the field testing operations, a total of 25 officers, and for what I would refer to as the home units at the station, we have 10 supervisors trained in that respect. Over a 3-day period, it was very intense. Over a 3-day period, it was during the month of March of 2019, and although very intense, but every officer, upon completion of the training, received a certificate.
On Thursday, the RGPF held a demonstration of the equipment for members of the media.
So the officer first identified himself or herself, informed the driver of his observation, which might be serving on the road, it might be the smell of alcohol, or it might be empty alcohol bottles in his or her vehicle. And he's expressed his intention to perform the breathalyzer test. So the officer will introduce the device and invite the driver to blow a sample of his or her breath into the device. If the driver cooperates and blows into the device, a reading may or may not be recorded on the device. If no reading is recorded, the driver is allowed to leave without any sanction.
ACP Jesmond Prince says the force has been assured that the partnership with the Trinidad company guarantees maintenance and supplies.
Rose International, Rose Company, will provide us with the supplies that are needed, and that is mostly the expendable items like the tubes that you're blowing. Those are one that has to be in constant supply. Any other equipment that is needed, they are readily available to provide for us just from Trinidad.
Finally, in the news, the Ministry of Health says due to ongoing remedial work at the Birth and Death Department, Ministry of Health, the department will be closed on Friday, December 13th. Services are being relocated to the former Houses of Parliament office, which is situated at the top road of the ministerial complex, and will become effective Monday, December 16th. The ministry says requests for certificates can be made at the respective district offices, and every effort will be made to restore services at the main office as soon as possible. That story just ended the national report for today, Thursday, December 12th. Let's recap the top story. Residents affected by a broken road in Molyneux may have to face relocation. On behalf of the entire news team here at the Government Information Service, I am Rakisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new National Party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.